Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts movie news. I am Peter, that is Connor over there with a ginger wig on, and this is what we do every week.
I feel insulted that you would refer to this as a wig. This is all natural.
I think it's actually more insulting to imply that you would fake it.
That's true.
But yeah, so as the title would imply, we talk about the movie news throughout the week. We also look at a big bunch of trailers that came out this week. We'll give you any updates on what's just been up movie review-wise, what's coming up this week movie review-wise, if we happen to know it all. Sometimes some things are very last minute, but we'll update you on that. And there's a horror section at the end. We always start with box office after the updates, so that's what's happening. That's what we're doing. This is episode 4, I believe, of the movie news ever.
Yes, the 1st of February.
Oh, quite right. Yeah, that's right.
We made it through a whole month of the year. We survived.
We started the second week of January.
Yeah,
so...
I mean, not as a show, just in general, we survived.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, we're not been hit by any comets or nuclear missiles, so I mean, that's nice.
Exactly. I feel like that's worth acknowledging this year.
Sadly, I can't dispute that much, but... well, maybe the comet one's not as likely.
Yeah, I trust NASA enough to warn us about that one.
I don't know. They keep getting cuts made.
That's a good point.
So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Talk about movies and stuff. So as we typically do, we will start with just giving you the updates, what's coming up, what's just came up on the channel. In terms of what has come out this week publicly, because a lot of the movie shows go up early on Patreon, of course. But the public stuff this week, 121 in Flux just had Alien Nation go up, which is a 80s sci-fi movie that has a very similar plot to the Netflix movie Bright. Just swap in the first orc detective being a human's partner to the first alien detective being a human's partner, and you've got basically the gist of the movie. On streams after midnight, there was 2 since the last news episode. We had Lake Placid, which was the winner of the Patreon vote of the month. That went up, and Hatchet 2 went up during the week. So that's that. In terms of what's coming up, in terms of 121 in Flux, you actually have quite a lot coming up, because Patreon just got essentially a bonus episode, our next Godzilla movie, Son of Godzilla. That'll be going up for the public in the weekend, and Patreon also just got the first half of the 2-part top 50 science fiction films countdown. Part 2 for that and Patreon will go up Monday, Tuesday, at which time the YouTube public will get Part 1, and then Part 2 will come up for the public when Patreon get the next movie next Friday. So there's a lot coming up. There's 3 total Influx episodes over a week, because we did a double countdown episode and plus we did a movie as well. So
we're giving you your money's worth, even if you don't pay us.
So that's what's coming in terms of that. In terms of streams, the patrons this week got Hatchet 3. No points for guessing that was next after Hatchet 2. So that'll be going up during the week for the public. This weekend we have the review for Mum and Dad going up for everyone, which is a Nicolas Cage movie. And the plot of that is that Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair, who are parents on the film, it's like a zombie apocalypse movie, but the virus that spreads turns all the parents into basically wanting to kill their kids. So the kids are having to avoid crazy Nicolas Cage. That's the plot of that. So
sounds kind of fun.
Review of that's coming this weekend, and then we have other stuff planned for next week. But it's not as set in stone, so I'm not going to. But I'll just say this: obviously, there's a Valentine's movie of some kind coming up for Valentine's Day. We always do the holidays on streams. You
do, and I feel like it's only a matter of time till you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for these holidays. I mean, I know you did for New Year's.
I had options for New Year's. We just picked wrong. We just picked wrong. I actually have a big list, a document list for each holiday, so I know I've got a short list.
Of course you do. Of course you have lists.
I did that last year because it was like, oh man, are we going to have enough to sustain this for a while? And I made sure I've got at least a few of each holiday. Obviously, I mean, Christmas and Halloween have like hundreds, but the other holidays not so much. Because when we did the vote for this month for March's winner, the initial idea was, obviously we'll do something, with leprechauns and like Irish themed things because St. Patrick's Day, and there's not actually a whole. I mean, there's like 7 leprechaun movies, but the vote wasn't going to be Leprechaun 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I feel like it could have been.
No, I can't jump to another number. I start at the start and work our way through it. But so yeah, that's all the updates. That's all the movie reviews that have went up or just coming up. both on public and on Patreon. So without further ado, we'll get back in. So we have box office again this week because we're actually recording a day earlier than usual. Actually, no, we're not.
No, we're not. We were going to.
We were going to. We were going to record after the TV news yesterday, and then we pushed it back after we recorded that. So we're actually on the normal time. So forget I said that. But yeah, so we're back to box office, starting off the main portion of the show for last weekend, of course. And what do you think was number one?
I can't remember what's come out recently. Is this a movie in Oscar contention?
No.
No? Is it still Jumanji?
No, Jumanji's finally been knocked off the top spot. It is now number 2 with 16.1 million.
Okay. I'm not going to get this.
No, you're not. Number 1 this past weekend was Maze Runner: The Death Cure.
Ugh, I forgot about that. I kind of blanked that from my mind.
Closing out the infamous trilogy.
Is it infamous?
That's the joke, Connor. That's the joke.
No. But do you know what the worst part is? I feel like that as a trilogy gets more credit than most other young adult film series recently because it remained a trilogy and didn't split the last movie in 2.
That's because the last one that tried to do that ended up cancelling the last film because it just started to go downhill really quickly.
Yeah.
But no, so that made 24 million. So it's not a big number 1. Like that's pretty low for your number 1 movie.
I mean, it's still last week of January. Yeah.
Oh sure, but it's worth mentioning that something didn't knock off Jumanji until it was like low enough that 24 million could achieve it.
Yeah. Give it a couple of weeks. We got Black Panther coming.
Yeah. So that Maze Runner's made 126.8 million worldwide, 62 million budget, which is actually quite moderate for a movie these days.
Movie, yeah.
Worth mentioning as well, Jumanji has now made 825 million, which baffling. It's not even like I'm not questioning. I've not seen it yet. I'll see it at home video at some point. I wasn't in any rush. But good or bad, I am shocked that it did that well.
Oh, that's the thing. It's a good movie. It's not a great movie. It's a good movie, but that is staggering for what it is.
That is Guardians of the Galaxy level numbers.
That's like sleeper hit, like because that didn't even come out of the gate storming either. Really, did it? It was just very consistent.
I'm pretty sure that's beat Justice League.
Do you know what? It probably has. And honestly, it's a better movie. So, but that's still sad.
Yeah, Justice League's on 656 million.
So it's thrash Justice League.
I mean, I feel like I'll probably still enjoy Justice League more just because it's Justice League and it's not complete garbage like Batman v Superman was, but oh boy.
This is objectively a better movie.
They deserve the embarrassment there, I think. Warner's have things to learn from. Number 3 is Hostiles with 10.1 million. Number 4 is The Greatest Showman with 9.5 million. That's up 1 place, interestingly enough. Down 1 place, though, at number 5 is The Post. So they've just swapped. That had 9.1 million. Number 6 is 12 Strong with 8.6 million. That dropped from number 2, so that's bit of a steep drop. Den of Thieves is number 7 with 8.6 million. Number 8 is The Shape of Water with 5.9 million. That's up from 16. So obviously the Oscar buzz is.
I did get to see Hostiles. It's pretty good.
You cut me off before I was going to make my pun about rising to the surface. But...
I know. I saw it coming. I was like, nope, no, you're not having any puns yet.
Number 9 is Paddington 2 with 5.6 million, and then number 10 is Padmavat with 4.4 million. I'm going to assume.
I think that's a Bollywood movie.
It sounds like one. No, it is. Yeah, the poster certainly indicates that.
No, my cinema's showing it.
I think what's funny about that to me, and this is not to put down Bollywood movies, but I think just in terms of the domestic US box office, it says something about your week when a Bollywood movie, which comparatively has far less screens, that has 326 screens compared to number 9, which has 2,792. And it's number 10.
What was the difference between them in money?
1.1 million.
So not that much, really.
It tells you that 326 screens, they were probably all sold out.
It does. Yeah.
They were all raking in.
I think it tells you that the screens that are putting it on know their local audience.
Yeah. No, it makes sense, but it's just, but in a summer week that should never happen.
Oh
really.
no, of course not.
I mean, it beat Star Wars, which had 1,700 screens,
Yeah, but
which
Star
thrills
Wars
me,
has been out,
which thrills me to no
a
end.
while.
Aye, why is it still there? It should be gone. Get rid of it. Be gone, Star Wars. Be gone. But that's the box office. I forgot to change my page to black again. That's it.
Oh my god, that's the second time this week. This is getting to be a really bad habit with you.
Look, that's it done. It's all fixed now. But that's the box office. I don't have any little. Sometimes I have a little extra story to tack onto it that's I'm using or whatever, but not this week. So we can get on to the main news. News part 1. Because as always, news part 1, then we have the halftime trailers, then news part 2, then horror movie.
We're like the Super Bowl.
Kinda, yeah, yeah.
Halftime trailers.
Halftime trailers. We're just as important as the Super Bowl, clearly.
Yeah. Well, we get as many views.
Which reminds me, we are doing best trailer at the end of the trailer section this week. I've been meaning to do it. I wanted to make that shift after the first week, and I've forgotten 2 weeks in a row. We're doing it this week. God damn it!
Well, I hope you forget after you've publicly said this now.
All right. So starting up, here's a kind of interesting tidbit. Netflix are apparently in discussion with Luc Besson's Europa Corp to possibly sort of tie him in and get an exclusive contract with him so that he will direct and produce several movies for the streaming service over the next few years. The movies would all be originals, they'd all be Netflix originals, and they would all be budgeted in the 30 million range. So sort of relatively low budget, but which might honestly be good for Luc Besson, because he made that huge budget Valerian and it was over bloated, and maybe tying him down a little bit would be, because he can make good movies. He's done it in the past.
Yeah, sure.
So hopefully that'd be a good thing for him. What's interesting though is as part of the deal, Netflix could also buy into Europa Corp's library, which has an estimated value of $186 million, and includes franchises like Taken, Taxi, and Transporter, which admittedly aren't the hugest of names ever. But
it's just another thing for them to throw on, isn't it?
So, yeah. So apparently they started talking about teaming up on movies last year, but now it looks like it's actually kind of going forward, and they're even considering possibly buying stakes in the company as well. So it looks like Netflix might even want to absorb them eventually, but they're kind of like tiptoeing in first.
Yeah. It looks like they're going, all right, let's give it a trial run, essentially.
Yeah. But hey, they want. I mean, I think we're going to get to a point where there's going to be a relatively reasonable sized Netflix original movie launching almost every week.
It's at the point now where Netflix are a legitimate distributor rather than just a streaming service.
No, that's true.
And if they keep on this track, they're going to be producing more and more content as well as just distributing.
And obviously the quality for the movies has been up and down depending, like any studio really, which I mean just makes them feel realistic in a sense, because it's not like you can go to Fox or Universal and say, oh, I really like Fox's output. Well, no, they have good movies, they have stinkers. Like there's no quality like average or anything like that.
Netflix operates much like a studio where they try and hit every audience. In that, they have something for everyone, and that's what a studio tries to do as well.
Arguably, they're better at it though than the main studios are. I feel like Netflix seem to be quite good at making sure that there's a horror comedy there, but there's a romantic comedy there. There's an actual horror movie there, but there's an action movie there, and there's a sci-fi movie there, and there's a serious period piece drama there. Like they seem to really hit it. Whereas I feel like if you just looked at the output of, say, again, take Fox as an example from the last year, I guarantee you they didn't hit all those points.
No, and I feel like Netflix is more evenly weighted as well, whereas the major studios clearly aren't.
I think Netflix is more willing to make lower budget stuff, where the studios have kind of like it's either they'll through their indie, like for Fox it'll be Searchlight, they'll do their little indie Oscar winner potential movies, and then they'll spend 150+ million on your big tentpoles. Netflix seem quite willing to do 30, 40, 50 million movies. And I'm actually kind of glad. I'm glad that the mid-budget movies are maybe making a comeback.
No, I like that they're big enough as a company now that they can afford this, but they're not overextending themselves. So that they're kind of in a safety zone, forced into it by their size, but it's working out well. Yeah.
All right. So next up, speaking of companies buying things, they've actually already been kind of in partnership with them for a long time. But DMG Entertainment has now taken full control of Valiant Entertainment. A lot of Valiant comic fans are terrified about this, and they think it basically spells the doom. Because DMG aren't a comic company, they don't really seem to care about comics. They're not touching it immediately, it doesn't sound like, but a lot of people are just sort of thinking, well, in a couple of years' time, what's this going to look like? Because really, what they're wanting to do is just take the properties and turn them into shows and movies. And
I mean, there's already a movie or two in development, right?
There's also TV shows in development as well. I think I have a list of a few of them at the end of this.
Right.
But yeah, so people in the comic industry are actually kind of worried about Valiant right now. They know more about it than I do to have reasons to worry. Because I mean, I would maybe look at this just as an outsider and say, well, I mean, is it any different from like Warner Bros. Letting DC keep making things so they can mine it later? But
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But people seem to have a reason to suspect otherwise. But I think that's outside of our area to actually question. But
my logic would have been, well, as long as they're profitable, just let them keep doing what they're doing.
I've seen reports from websites online. I've heard on now 2 podcasts, and every single thing's been kind of like they're probably not going to be publishing comics in a couple of years. Like that's kind of the general consensus right now. So it sucks if you're a fan of those comics. I've never read any of them beyond a couple of first issues.
Read a few arcs of Exo Manowar. Pretty good.
I think I read like the first issue of Archer and Armstrong.
Yeah, that's one of them.
But yeah. So you know it well, clearly. That's one of them. Yep.
Yeah, I've read some Shadow Man as well. I think that's one of the ones that's getting a movie or a TV show.
Honestly, there's a lot that are in development. But yeah, they've got a library of more than 2,000 characters. I question what that means, because if you say 2,000 characters, let's say we're talking about DC, and you said X amount of characters, does that include all the supporting characters?
I think it includes everyone who's ever appeared, every minor villain.
Yeah, because think about it, like, Superman alone would include Lois, Lex, Jimmy, Perry, and that's just the regular faces. Then you start adding in all your other villains that pop up. Like Batman would probably get you to 1,000 on its own.
If you look in every issue of Batman,
yeah,
every minor villain that's popped up,
yeah,
there's just been there once. That counts, but
yeah. Which I feel is a bit unfair to count it that way.
Skewing the numbers.
I feel like it's skewing the numbers a bit. I feel like what's more useful to someone to actually look at the value of it would be, they have 15 properties that are well known. Yeah. That's way more
established. Should be the word to use.
I can quantify that. I can say, okay, I see what that's worth. Like, if you look at DC and say, they've got about, 3 or 4 A-listers, they've got about 10 B-listers, and then they've got a good amount of like C-listers that are known and have value to like people. And that would be, I understand what the value is looking at that. If you just say to me, DC has 50,000 characters, I'm like, well...
what you can, like, okay, they've got, Valiant has 2,000, but what's that compared against? Because I couldn't tell you how many any other company has.
Exactly. But yeah, so the plan is to integrate the Valiant IP into DMG, providing capital and filmmaking expertise to create feature franchises. This includes Exo Manowar, Bloodshot, Harbinger, Shadowman, Archer and Armstrong, Ninjak, Faith, and more. Current projects in development include Bloodshot and Harbinger films from Sony, which will be produced in partnership with Original Film. The TV show Quantum and Woody is in development, and that's partnered with the Russo brothers company Getaway Productions. And then CW and CBS Studios are working on a Dr. Mirage TV show. So, and we've known about all those before. Like, I remember Dr. Mirage, that came up in like November, I want to say.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It's in development. I didn't really know what it was at the time, admittedly. That was one I hadn't heard of out of the... I'd heard of Exo Manowar, I'd heard of Shadowman, I'd heard of...
Bloodshot, Harbinger, yeah.
Basically, when they relaunched it a few years ago, all those ones they launched with, I've heard of.
They didn't launch with Ninjak, though. Ninjak spun out of one later.
True. I've heard of Ninjak, though.
Yeah, it got its own series a bit later.
Yeah. Additionally, apparently there's also projects with Shadowman, Archer and Armstrong, Eternal Warrior, Exo Manowar, and others underway. They mentioned some of those in that other list, so this is a weird list to add on.
Yeah, are these things that are in development already, are they safe going forward? Are they just continuing?
Well, DMG were already like the ones doing all the...
Okay, they were already involved in all that.
Yeah, but now they've just taken control of the company completely.
Right, okay.
So yeah, they're all safe, and I mean, who knows how many of these will actually see the light of day, but they're all in the works at some capacity. It varies.
Yeah.
None of them, as far as I know, none of them are actually in production, so we're not far along with any of them, but they're all somewhere.
I mean, from what I've read, I'd hope that at least some of these see the light of day. They could be they're ripe for adaptation.
They could be. I mean, as far as from my perspective, having not read them, I have no opinion on them. But I know there's some sci-fi stuff in there. I know some good action stuff in there. How can I not like something called Ninjak? So
That just screams, yes, enjoy me.
Yeah, so like I'm all for these turning into good properties. It's just a question of like, do they like, given what they are, and given that they're not big names, right? That sure, people who like comics might know who they are, but they're not huge names. I feel like the right thing here is what I was just saying with Netflix. They have mid-level budget movies. I feel like mid-level to low budget is what you do with these. If they go into one of these with like 150 million plus budget,
it's going to fail.
It's going to fail. They're not going to make that back.
And that's going to be harder with some than others. Like Harbinger, I'm pretty sure that's the telepathic one. That'll probably be easier than, say, Exo Manowar, which is, full of sci-fi stuff.
If they're actually going to do a shared universe, and it doesn't necessarily sound like it if they're all in different places like they are, so I wouldn't maybe suspect that, but if they were, I would say leave Exo Manowar for like your third movie, and do a couple of the smaller ones,
build a brand first,
and then hit with the bigger one. But so that's the thing. All right. So, moving on, we have a bit of scuttlebutt. Obviously, we're going to get a lot of trailers and stuff. Next week's trailers will have like a special Super Bowl section for all the new things.
That'll probably be most of the section, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. Other places might avoid showing anything. And but one of the things we're hearing about, remember we were talking about how Netflix might be buying God Particle, aka Cloverfield 3, aka Cloverfield Station, depending on what title they end up going with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently, so we're still hearing that they're interested in buying it, but what they might be doing is announcing the fact that they've got it by putting out a Super Bowl spot.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of ballsy. It's like saying, hey, we've got this and we've spent the money to advertise it here.
And Cloverfield's a name. People know what Cloverfield is.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. So apparently, I think this was in Deadline, they're expecting the Super Bowl spot on February 4th.
Right, okay.
With a trailer. I don't know if it's going to be like a full trailer. I mean, I imagine buying 2 minutes of ad time at the Super Bowl is probably
expensive. It might be just a 30-second one.
30 seconds or a minute. I feel like you're not going to get ones that are super long.
Do you know, on this topic, I was reading an article about Annihilation, which obviously got the Netflix deal.
Yeah, for the international. Yeah.
Alex Garland is angry about that. He hates it. He is furious because he said it was designed to be seen in the cinema, and he is angry at Paramount for leasing it out like this. There's words that basically Paramount wanted him to change things because they thought it was too you had to think too much and it was not digestible enough.
They can piss off with that thought.
And he fought them, but one of the producer who had the final edit actually sided with him, so the movie is intact. It's his vision still, but in retaliation, Paramount went, all right, fine, well, we don't trust this anymore with this version, so that's why it happened, apparently.
That is an interesting debate, actually. Now, I wouldn't say it's just why it happened, because they're clearly interested in doing it with other movies.
Yeah. But that's the article that I've seen this week.
But certainly I agree I can see that being part of it. What I would say about that, though, is that obviously, in the first part, under no circumstance would I side with Paramount for tampering with the movie to make it more, general audience friendly. No, piss off. Make the good sci-fi, hard sci-fi, thinking person sci-fi movie at all costs. But the debate about whether or not to show it in the theatre, as much as I like movies in the theatre, right, and I get why he wants it to be in the theatre, but honestly, if that was the price for getting Final Cut,
oh no, this is better.
Yeah, I would take this. Yeah, I would take this over getting the theatrical version that has the
I don't think
diminished
he regrets
quality.
that decision by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Like, the final cut and having that is clearly the obvious choice. But this was a case of Paramount. Obviously, we spoke in general that the idea of, okay, they don't necessarily have faith in it to perform in the theaters now, because that's why they're looking at Netflix. And the apparent reason is they don't have faith in this cut, which is, it's doesn't actually mean anything bad for the movie. It's probably a better movie for it.
Yeah, it probably is, and it's funny because whenever we have this debate, and I can see this being something that pops up more. Like, you're never going to see Christopher Nolan agree to have his movie released on Netflix because he's all about the IMAX and the biggest experience possible and whatnot. And it's funny because I appreciate that sentiment to a point. But ultimately, I'm someone who thinks of movies as something that I'm going to watch again and again for the rest of my life. And everything after the first viewing, or in some cases maybe the first few viewings, if I really like something to go see it multiple times, is going to be at home.
Yeah.
So, as far as I'm concerned, if it doesn't work at home, then the movie has a flaw. It may still be a good experience in the theater, but if it doesn't work at home, then it's not up to snuff.
Absolutely, that is the case. I think it's fair for him to say it's designed to be seen in the cinema, because I think a lot of movies of that style are designed to be seen on a big screen with a big sound, but they don't rely on it. And I don't think this will rely on it.
That's why I have a subwoofer, and I piss off the neighbours by achieving the closest to cinema quality sound as possible.
Yeah, the closest you can get.
Yeah, with the rumbling. And hell, I'm backdated now. Now you're getting your 11.1 systems and all that in the house and whatnot. But
you're behind the curve.
Behind the curve, yeah. Well, so anyway, so just to add on, God Particle is directed by Julius Ona, and takes the monster action from the original 2008 title to a space station with an ensemble cast that includes Elizabeth Debicki, who we mentioned a few weeks ago actually, Daniel Brühl, who we just saw in The Alienist, and he obviously is in Civil War and stuff, Guju Mbatha, apologies if I butchered that, sorry, Guju Mbatha Raw is the third name. I was so caught up in the first two that I never noticed the end there. Chris O'Dowd's in it. Ziyi Zhang's in it. I like her actually. She's from Hero and House of Flying Daggers. She's those movies. And David Oyelowo. Oh, I probably butchered that as well. But he was nominated a couple of years ago for an Oscar, and I struggled with his name then.
No, I know who you're on about. That's a stellar cast.
Interestingly, it says the theatrical release date for this was still meant to be April 20th, but Netflix might actually put it out earlier than that once they announce it. So, and this is the thing, they like to do that. Typically, you don't know what dates their movies and shows are coming out until they put out a trailer where it says at the end, coming this date. Yeah. So, it'd be a ballsy move.
It's going to be fascinating to see. If that comes out before, they've paid even more. Because obviously they paid so much to get it after. They've paid quite a bit to get it day and date.
Because if they're getting this before, this has basically became a Netflix original in the sense that they'll now have the rights to it, I think.
Yeah, probably. And then domestically as well. I mean, this one is still coming out domestically, right, in theaters?
I don't know. That doesn't make it sound like it is.
Right, okay.
That makes it sound like it's everywhere.
I remember the original report made it sound like it was closer to the Annihilation deal, where it was still coming out in theaters in US, Canada, and China.
I mean, it could be, but it doesn't sell. I mean, why would they put it in the Super Bowl then? The main audience for the Super Bowl is the US.
No, that's a good point, actually.
But why would they put it there? That'd be a waste of money.
No, it would be a waste of money.
So no, I think this is if it happens, and it may not, but everyone seems to expect it to. So
I think Sunday is going to be fascinating. Speaking
of Paramount, they are trying to launch a new franchise. They have there's a book series called Ology. They are determined to get this done. So basically what they've done is they've got Akiva Goldsman to head a giant room of writers.
This could not go wrong, could it?
To try and develop this thing. So the Ology books are a hugely popular series of 13 fictional young adult encyclopedias. So it's not.
I get the Ology title now.
Yeah, it can't be a straight adaptation because there's no story per se. At least going with the same encyclopedia here. It sounds more like a Fantastic Beasts type of situation where there's a lore, there's a world to take from.
They managed with Fantastic Beasts. They took a book about some creatures and made it into a 5-film series.
Aye.
Which there was a tidbit about this week. I don't know if you've got that in the news.
I actually don't. That didn't pop up on my findings. We can talk about it after this one if you want.
That's fine. Yeah.
So this is the titles of the books: Spyology, Nightology, with a K, Dinosaurology, Dragonology, Alienology, Monsterology, Vampirology, Mythology, Egyptology.
I know what these are. I had a couple of these.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I did. Yeah.
I think you're going to tell me more about
them. No, they are just children's encyclopedias. They are like, like you'd expect.
Oh, okay.
But they're just, lots of illustrations and stuff like that, and they treat things like, like the dragon one. It treats it as if it's fact.
They've sold more than 18 million copies in more than 40 languages. So you had a couple of them then. Those 18 million, you had a couple of those. So Paramount's ambition is for a live-action, family-friendly franchise universe built around a research institute where the fringe sciences that no one else takes seriously are studied in earnest. It's not a terrible idea for this.
It's not. I kind of love it.
It's not a terrible idea. The idea you've got this core institute that's studying all this stuff, and each one maybe goes off and explores one, or maybe more than one, depending on what the plot is. But
I think that's a phenomenal idea. But the fact that they're trying to force it and throwing a massive room of writers together worries me.
Yeah. And Akiva Goldsman's not got a great track record either.
It's not. He's got a couple of hits though, right?
He's also behind Batman and Robin, so that's not.
Well, I'm not saying he's been good. He's mostly bad, but I feel like he's got a couple of hits in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's a bunch of names here. We got someone from Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, Jeff Pinkner. We got prize winner Michael Chabin or Shabin, depending on how that's.
Did it say what prize?
Yeah, Pulitzer Prize winning.
Okay.
Then we got Black Panther and People V's O.J. Simpson writer Joe Robert Cole. We got Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel scribe Nicole Perlman, and Christina Hodson. And Christina Hodson, who emerged from the Transformers writers' room a while ago, because she's doing the Bumblebee or she wrote the Bumblebee spin-off. They're shooting it just now, so presumably she's already finished it.
I'm still terrifyingly excited for that. I know I shouldn't be.
You realise you have to watch all the ones you've not seen before you can watch the Bumblebee movie?
No, I don't. Shut up. I'm just going to watch Bumblebee.
So we're doing all five of them? Are we doing all five on Influx before we get the new one?
I'll do the first one, and then Bumblebee.
Yeah, but the only one I've not seen is Last Night. I feel like I should watch Last Night.
I haven't seen anything past the second. but Bumblebee, if I recall, that's from the Kubo and the Two Strings director, which I love that movie.
And I think it's Haley Stanfield that's in that.
Yeah, I love Haley Steinfeld, so, you know.
I wouldn't get excited if I were you, but like...
No, I said terrifyingly excited, because I know I shouldn't be. I know it's going to go badly and they're going to kick me in the balls, but I'm excited anyway.
Back to Ology.
Yes.
Nice idea. I can see them messing it up.
Yeah, talented bunch of writers, though, by the sounds of it.
Most of them, yeah. There's maybe one or two that are...
One or two that are lower, but... some names in there that I go, okay, you've got, reason to be considered a good writer.
Now, one name I skipped because I wanted to leave it till the end for a segue. Look at the magic. Look at the magic work here. One of the writers is Lindsay Beer, who's involved with the Kingkiller Chronicles, which leads us on to our next story. Sam Raimi is in negotiations to direct Lionsgate's adaptation of the Kingkiller Chronicle. Look at that. Look at how I did that.
I assume this is the movie and not the TV show, right?
Yes, because they're developing both movie and TV projects. The TV project is at Showtime. Lionsgate are doing movies. They're still not actually clarified if there's a difference or if they're both just adapting the same...
Oh, no, I've seen reports saying that the TV show is prequel material.
Oh, okay. Right, because this just says, the TV show adaptations from Showtime.
No. The TV show is prequel material from what I can see.
Okay. So it's based on the Pat Rothfuss classic novels. Lionsgate have been working on it. Hamilton star and creator Lin-Manuel Miranda is executive producer and musical mastermind of the feature film and TV series adaptations. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what extent that is, because I don't imagine it's going to be a musical, right?
Probably not.
I wouldn't have thought so. So it doesn't sound like that's what they're going for. It seems like they want a big franchise out of this as well. Lionsgate.
He's a good composer, though, in general. I think he...
Maybe he's just composing it. Maybe he's doing all these big themes that are going to carry between the TV show and the movie.
And he's a name that you can attach to things now.
That's true. And it mentions Lindsay Beer wrote the script, and she did Transformers the Last Night. So I didn't see that one, admittedly, but.
All right, I'll allow it. Honestly, I've got these books sat on my shelf. They've been there for about 3 years. I am going to read them soon. It's my plan for this year.
What a threat. The movie's going to be based on the first book, The Name of the Wind. I can just see it now. Lord of the Rings, it'll be the Kingkiller Chronicle, : The Name of the Wind.
Probably. See, I feel like you just call it Kingkiller, The Name of the Wind. You get rid of the Chronicles.
Do you want to place a bet on if they're keeping the Chronicle or not?
All right, I'll take this bet.
I think they're keeping it.
I think it's a neater title without it.
I think it is a neater title without it, but I don't think they're going to do it.
I think they will. I think Chronicles is... it's too long. It's not like Saga's nice and short when you put it in a title, where Chronicles takes up a lot of your space.
Didn't the Divergent movies just say the Divergent series and then call
yeah.
title? That was really
Screw that. That's the worst.
The series is centered around the wizard Kvoth.
I remember you trying to pronounce this way back when this was announced and we were covering this on the TV.
I'll just say Voth. I'll assume the K is silent.
I think it was Voth, yes.
Voth, yes. What a stupid place for a silent K. Who survives a tragic childhood to become a notorious household name. That tells us next to nothing. And I remember when we got the TV show news like a few months ago. Right, no, 2016 according to this news actually. So it says this all happened in 2016, so it must have been 2016. But I remember talking about it.
Yeah,
I remember there'll be more of a description. But hey, so that's so it's worth mentioning that Rami's been considering what his next project's going to be. Apparently, one of the ones that he might also be doing is the Bermuda Triangle from Skydance. But apparently, they're expecting this to be more likely his first pick. He may do both, in the long term. But this looks like it may be his next one.
I am very fascinated by this. I feel like I want a nice new fantasy series on, because Lord of the Rings, love those movies. Hobbit, I like 2 of those movies, and then one of them is utter shite. There's not a lot of other big fantasy trilogies lately, like high fantasy of this sort.
I am a-okay with that.
Yeah, well, screw you. You got no taste.
Less of it, the better. Next up. We actually have news. Remember how we had Bad Boys spin-off news?
Sorry. We've got news on the news show.
Don't abuse the pause. It was a dramatic pause because I was about to hit you with what the important part was.
I know, but it sounded stupid.
We had Bad Boys spin-off TV news on the TV show, and now we have Bad Boys 3 news on the movie news.
This is still happening?
This is still happening, and it's still, for some reason, called Bad Boys for Life, even though that's clearly the title for the fourth movie.
The fourth one, I know.
Yeah, with a 4 for the 4. But no,
obviously.
For some reason, we're getting the third movie called Bad Boys for Life. This is mind-numbingly stupid. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, so yeah, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, August production start date apparently, and this is Adil El Arabi and Bilal Fallah are in talks to direct it. So what have they done?
I'll be honest, I don't know who they are.
Well, I didn't know who they were either, but here we go. So, they're Moroccan-born, they're a directing duo who always work together. Raised in Belgium, they came out of the scene with Black, which is a Romeo and Juliet type drama set in the world of organised crime in Belgium. That sounds up your alley.
Doesn't it?
It was a big hit in the Toronto Film Festival, and they most recently directed the pilot and the establishing episodes for the FX show Snowfall. I remember that being a thing last year.
Yes, we didn't actually check that one out, but
we didn't.
I do remember it.
And interestingly as well, speaking of 4s, they were attached to the Beverly Hills Cop 4 movie at one point. Who knows if that's still a thing or if they're ever going to do it or whatever.
And when you say speaking of 4s, you mean because you said this should have been the title for Bad Boys 4?
Absolutely, yes.
I'm not sure that's really speaking of.
Look. Beverly Hills Cop for Life. They can use that title and it'll make sense.
yeah, no, it would be much better.
So these guys are clearly sort of new up and comers that are just kind of like bursting out of the mainstream scene.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to check out that. What was it called? Black.
Yeah. Could be interesting. I don't even know what to expect from a Bad Boys movie because I liked the first one growing up. I think the second one is actually the more rewatch. It's about too long and it's very stupid. But the second one is the more rewatchable one.
It's kind of fun.
It doesn't take itself too seriously, because I think when I go back and see the first... Admittedly, it's been a long time since I tried to watch either of them, so I might hate both of them now. But whenever I tried to watch the first one, it seemed to take itself a bit too seriously. Like it actually was trying to pretend to be a proper cop movie. Whereas the second one was, no, we're having a car chase on the road with a big boat.
It leans more into the Will Smith being quippy. Yes.
Which, honestly, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, I kind of want them to be quippy.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't make for high art. But no, who knows? Maybe this will end up being something worth. Neatly moving on to another Will Smith related movie. The Men in Black reboot / spin-off / project that's happening.
Is this the one that was the crossover with Jump Street, but now probably isn't?
No, it's not. However, they have got a director for it, so it actually seems like it's going to exist now, because there's talent being attached.
Okay.
F. Gary Gray is now been chosen for it. he's in negotiations towards a deal. Of course, he did Straight Outta Compton and the recent Fate and the Furious, both of which made a fair bit of money. So
I liked Straight Outta Compton a lot. I didn't watch the Furious movie because I don't give a shit about those, but sure.
It was fine. It was
another one.
It was the absurdity of what you've come to expect from the later movies in that series. I can't stand the first few entries, but the ones I've seen of the sort of newer ones,
I haven't seen past like 2 or 3.
They're reasonably stupid entertainment. I still don't get why they're as huge as they are. I don't understand why they're $800 billion movies or whatever. And that was $800 million, $2 billion movies, not $800 billion. just for the record.
Yeah, I was going to say that's extreme.
Yeah. No. no. They didn't beat Avatar. That's we're not worried about that yet. Star Wars couldn't do that yet.
No. Honestly, I don't think they will. I think they're not going to get that much bigger.
Oh, no, I don't think so either. But, worth mentioning. Next up, Michelle McLaren. Oh, we like her. She's directed a bunch of really notable TV episodes, between Breaking Bad and other stuff. But she's come on board a Chris Pratt movie that we knew was in development called Cowboy Ninja Viking. Based on a comic book from Image Comics. The film is an adaptation of a graphic novel revolving around an assassin who manifests the toughest skills of 3 different personas: a cowboy, a ninja, and a Viking. And I think he has to switch between them. He can only have one skill set at a time. I think. That's what I'm getting.
I love everything about this.
That's what I'm getting. And it's Chris Pratt.
If you don't love this, we can't be friends.
And Michelle McLaren, admittedly, I think of Michelle McLaren making more serious stuff than this, but I'll take it. Go for it.
Hey, maybe she'll elevate it.
Maybe she will.
From just something stupid into something, okay, no, this is actually good.
Maybe it'll be stupid, but it'll have a heart now, because she's going to actually find the human drama at the centre of it. But yeah.
I think I'm going to have to go and track down this comic, not going to lie, because this sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, that's a Cowboy Ninja Viking.
That's on the list.
Next up, here's something I didn't expect this week. A kind of sequel / spin-off. Do you remember the film What Women Want with Mel Gibson back in 2002?
No, not really.
I do. The plot of that movie was that Mel Gibson gets telepathic abilities to read minds, but only female minds.
Sounds useful.
So it was very useful in the movie. He started being a hit with the ladies because he could sort of, hear what they were saying. And there was a lot of funny stuff where he's having sex and they're thinking how bad he is, so he'd try to...
It does something else.
Yeah, and so on.
Yeah, I get it.
Well, we're getting the opposite. We're getting What Men Want, starring Tarisha P. Henson, who obviously was in... what was the... Oh, I watched this.
No, I'm not familiar with the name.
The space movie...
Oh, that narrows it down.
The 3 black women who all were essential to the first missions.
Hidden Figures?
There you go.
I never actually watched that one, but I know the one you're on about, thankfully.
I couldn't remember the name of the movie. She was also in... why am I blanking in every goddamn name? Person of Interest. She was in Person of Interest. And she's known quite well now for Empire, which I've never seen. Which is why... most people think of that first with her. I've not seen it, though, so I think of the ones...
Hidden Figures is something I actually meant to check out and just never got around to.
It was pretty good. It was kind of... I would say it suffered from being exactly what you think it's going to be. That kind of sentimental, feel-good story about things getting better in a way. It's kind of exactly what you think it's going to be, but it's well done.
All right. It's still I'll check it out at some point, but it's not a priority right now.
Yeah. So she's going to be in this. She's going to be the lead, and she's going to be the one who gets the telepathic abilities. So... there you go.
I like this as a concept.
And she's a sports agent, so she's actually in kind of a more male-dominated profession.
Field, so there's a lot of men around. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah, so she's going to have her career boost because of this.
She'll show them all up.
It's set to release in January 2019, so they're getting to go in this soon. But anyway, the actual news, the actual proper bit of news of this was they've got a director. Adam Shankman's going to direct it. So that was the actual news part. But I thought the actual what the movie was more interesting than that.
I agree, because I was not familiar that this was going to be a thing.
No, me neither.
It could be awful, don't be wrong.
Oh, it could be,
but, the January release slot doesn't fill me with confidence.
It works as a weird spin-off of that original movie without really mattering if you ever saw it, because it's just the same premise but swapped, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
It may as well be a remake, but obviously calling it What Men Want makes way more sense.
It is for all intents and purposes, it's a remake. It's one of those what you used to get as a direct-to-video sequel, where
yeah.
it's the same thing but with someone else.
Yeah, but no, but I like Henson, so
No, that's cool.
So who knows? Maybe it'll be worth watching. I mean, it'll be a light movie. It'll be a late afternoon watch for a chuckle, but maybe it'll do well as that.
It's something I'll pair up at the cinema with something else.
Yeah. So, Patrick Hughes, who directed The Hitman's Bodyguard, which was doing quite well. This was a movie that came out. It apparently did quite well, and I like barely heard of it when it was out.
I wanted to go see it. I was actually busy with doing a lot of overtime when it came out. I think it was summer, right?
Yeah.
Late summer.
Yeah, and apparently it's an action comedy. I didn't even know that.
It is, yeah. This is Sam Jackson and someone else, right?
I don't know. Is it?
I'm vaguely recalling.
This is how little this movie was on my radar when it came out.
Okay, I thought I'm sure it's him. I'm just gonna quickly check. I thought it was, but maybe I'm mixing this up with something.
Elevator music while Connor checks up his facts here.
I see Ryan Reynolds. Maybe it wasn't Sam Jackson, but Ryan Reynolds is in it.
Yeah, because Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson look so much alike.
I'm not saying it was instead of. I'm clearly mixing it up with something else that I thought he was in, but whatever. Screw you.
Next time I see Deadpool, I'm going to be really confused. I'm going to be expecting.
Look, I'm mixing up a movie with another movie. I'm not mixing up Ryan Reynolds with Sam Jackson.
Dear. Anyway, so the director is working. Who is it that's doing it? Lionsgate. Lionsgate have got the director Patrick Hughes on another movie. It's called Unsafe House. The story follows.
Sam Jackson is in it. Sorry, it's just now the poster's popped up. He is there.
All right, take the win, sure. I'll be honest, I had my fun. I don't really care if you're right or not.
I scanned the IMDb page, figuring Sam Jackson would be like, top billing. He's not even on the first page. I have to click see full cast.
That's disrespect, that.
That's just wrong.
He's Samuel L. Jackson. You don't just jettison him to page 2.
I can't even find him. I know he's on it because I can see the poster, but where the hell is it? He's relatively low. Like, shockingly low. He's with, like, all the extras. The people who don't even have names. Here's what's above him. I have 4 people credited as news reporter and newscaster above Sam Jackson.
That's just disrespect. Anyway, so this Unsafe House, which they've got a director for, it follows 3 friends who rent a Bahamas beach house over the summer for some R&R, only to come to realise that the location is actually an MI6 safe house already occupied by a CIA operative. When the house comes under attack, the 3 friends must team up with a spy in order to survive the ordeal. This is definitely another action comedy. Yeah.
Sounds pretty fun, though.
It's a good plot. I never saw, like I say, obviously I never saw The Hitman's Bodyguard. Maybe I'll check that out before this comes out to see if it's worth checking.
It's actually on my radar to do this month because this is 2017 catch-up month.
Oh, that's right, because we're doing our movie awards. Us 2 and Matt are doing our awards at the start of March, so we're trying to catch up in movies over February. Anyway, so that's that. We'll move on to Mr. Rogers. Are you familiar with Mr. Rogers? TV personality.
I'm definitely familiar with the name.
Tom Hanks is attached to play Mr. Rogers in a biopic called You Are My Friend. Marielle Heller from Diary of a Teenage Girl is going to direct the film, and the script is by Mika Fietzerman Blue and Noah Harpster. Those hyphenated names.
You're really missing them tonight, aren't you?
Always
you get so focused on saying the name that you forget that, oh, hang on, there's more there.
Just don't be a dick and have a third name, that's all I'm saying.
It's really inconsiderate.
The film is inspired by the real-life friendship between Fred Rogers and award-winning journalist Tom Junod. In the story, the cynical journalist begrudgingly accepts an assignment to write a profile piece on the beloved icon and finds his perspective on life transformed. It sounds like a very Tom Hanks role, actually.
It does, yeah.
That sounds like Tom Hanks going for his Oscar nomination in it next year.
It does, which is not the worst thing. Those movies are often still enjoyable, even if they are a bit Oscar baity. I
can see it being very, very feel good.
Yeah.
I just hope no bad news about anything Mr. Rogers did in his life comes out before then. To ruin the entire thing. That would be
unfortunate, wouldn't it?
It would be. And that sounds like a really dark joke to make, but I feel like it's happening more and more. That is actually something to be concerned about.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was lovely.
In the game industry this week.
I'm sure it was lovely. What was there?
Yeah, there was the big guy at Atari was supposed to get like a lifetime award,
Oh,
and
all
then
right.
some stuff came out, and they were like, yeah, okay, we're not giving the award to anyone this year.
Oh dear, that's bad.
Yeah,
Let's move on. Elizabeth Moss. We like Elizabeth Moss. She's in
we
Handmaid's
do.
Tale, which is fantastic.
Yes.
She's going to produce and star in Bow and Arrow Entertainment's Her Smell. Can I just focus on that title for a second before
Sorry,
I go
I
on?
was in the middle of taking a drink, and I had to pause to just check I heard you correctly.
Her Smell.
Is it a good or a bad smell?
I'm going to say bad, given the description.
Okay, well, yeah, I've not read that, so.
But still, I just let that sink in. Her Smell. Moss will start as Becky something. Let's just pause there and acknowledge her name. Becky something.
I like how they didn't just say just Becky, but like no. They're actually saying no. We're not giving her a last name. It's ambiguous. It's Becky something.
No.
Oh, is that the actual surname?
It's capitalized. Her name is Becky
oh.
something.
Oh, okay.
That's
need
even
to
better.
reconsider this. Yes.
Her name is Becky something. Her last name is something. She will appear as something, comma B on certain directories.
I love that someone changed their name to that, and then that's a thing.
A manically destructive punk rock star who pushes her relationship with her bandmates, family, and followers to the limit as she wages a years-long war against her sobriety while attempting to re-engage the creativity that once had led her band to a massive crossover success.
I like everything you just said.
I don't really care about the premise. It could be good, but I like her. And her in this type of role seems very different from what I'm used to seeing her in. So
yeah, but no, I like that premise a lot. It's a classic, musician's dilemma of okay, I wrote my best stuff when I was high on coke, but hey, I'm 40 now. Maybe I shouldn't do coke. And how do you recapture that? That's a classic story.
Well, that's what's so great about your life, Connor, is you're making sure you never have anything to recapture in later life. So you're just going with that.
That's true. I'm preparing that I'm safe later. I'm not gonna have a midlife crisis. I'm just gonna coast on through.
Don't peek too early. Next up, Emily Blunt is now being cast alongside The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, in Disney's Jungle Cruise. So you can't escape The Rock, especially when his Jumanji sequel's hitting $800 million. But yeah, so Jean Colette Serra. Apologies if I got the hyphen though. I didn't pause before the hyphen.
You did.
Yeah.
Go you.
Is on board to direct the film. It's based on the Walt Disney World ride specifically. Michael Green, who wrote Logan, is actually written the most recent draft of the script. So,
well, that's promising.
Yeah, Disney's hoping this will turn into another Pirates of the Caribbean franchise for them, where they can pump out sequels and make lots and lots of money out of it.
Of course they are. I still haven't seen the last one of those.
So obviously it's based on a ride, so there's not a whole lot of actual plot to base it on. But Johnson and the team see the film as inspired by The African Queen, starring Humphrey Bogart and Katharine Hepburn, which I have seen, and it's pretty good.
I've seen chunks of it.
Hope to see a similar kind of chemistry with this pairing. So the idea is that Emily Blunt and The Rock will be the budding romance going, which
yes,
which I mean is fine.
I'm just picturing those as
I just see him being about a foot taller and it being really funny in my head.
Yeah,
she's going to need a little step ladder to kiss him.
Yeah, or
he can sit down, which admittedly is the easier job. But you know what I mean.
Do you think she's like, hey, I know I've got John Krasinski at home, but hey, this is The Rock. This is better.
Do you think John Krasinski's getting at home sweating? He's just like, oh no.
He's like, I know I can't compete with The Rock. I'll just sit down. I'll wait out.
This is terrible. She's going to come home after making this movie and be like, you know what? You're not enough anymore. I need to go and find me some beefcake.
That's why he's doing
Jack Ryan.
Thingy. Yeah. Yes, yeah. He's like, I need some.
He's bulking
some
up.
Credit.
Yeah, he's bulking up and doing Jack Ryan. He's like, I need to compete with The Rock. God damn it. So Disney apparently has been over the moon with the early footage of Blunt in Mary Poppins.
Okay, cool.
Because she's doing Mary Poppins too.
She is, yes.
Electric Boogaloo. And they're looking for a way to keep her in the Disney family with another franchise. So, The Rock and Emily Blunt. I like both those people, so
I
sure.
do too, yeah.
I don't know if a family-friendly African Queen necessarily appeals to me on premise alone, but I'll see what they give me.
You've got two good leads. You've got a good screenwriter. So, I don't know. Maybe it could be alright.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Disney will make a shit ton of money off of it just because they're Disney and they make shit tons of money off everything now.
Can I just say how crazy that The Rock is now one of the most bankable stars?
Yeah, he's electrifying. I smell what he's cooking.
Yeah.
Did you get those jokes?
I did actually, because
Okay,
it's so big that I actually got them.
Just checking.
No. There's a lot of those things that will go over my head. But
right, guys,
The Rock has crossed over into pop culture so much that I got them.
I'm going to set up a joke for Connor, and we'll see if he can finish it off. Right, because this is audience participation. This one. It's a Rock thing.
Is this? Okay, probably not. It's I got those ones, but
right. The Rock's a bankable star because he's got millions. Crash and burn. You're supposed to say and millions, and then I say all fans.
Oh, okay.
That's what he did with the crowd. He'd say, he'd always refer to himself in the third person, say, when the millions, and then the crowd would go, and millions, and he'd say, of the Rock's fans. It was basically this like egotistical thing, but the crowd played into it, and it made it really funny. But anyway, so that was the... Anyway, so let's move on. So I've got some quicker things. I want to... This movie news always goes quite long, so I've got some stories that I see as being kind of more quick fire. We don't have to talk about them too much. That's why I kind of bring them up. We mentioned the Superfly remake last week. Michael K. Williams has been cast to play Scatter in it. He, of course, was on The Wire. He was on The Night Of. He's a great actor, done a bunch of stuff. I think he was on Boardwalk Empire as well, so he's done a bunch of stuff. And also, Isai Morales has come on board to play... Adalberto. I looked at that and said Alberto, and I went, no, it's not. There's an extra bit in it. Adalberto. And so that's happening. So it's a blaxploitation movie remake. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but those have come on board to play. Next up, this is an odd pair of news stories. The stories themselves are not related in the projects. They just happen to have actors from the same show cast. The first one, KJ Apa from Riverdale, he played Archie on that, has been cast in the lead of an ensemble movie called The Last Summer. And it's coming from Bill Bindley, who's directing, and he script co-wrote with his brother Scott Bindley. That's Bill Bindley, Scott Bindley, and then April Prosser did a sort of rewrite of it, did a polish, as the article put it. Last Summer follows a group of young adults whose lives are intersect in Chicago over the summer before they start college, and it starts shooting in April. Not a lot to say on that, I don't think.
You mentioned it's an ensemble. Do we have any of the other cast yet, or is he the first?
No, yeah, he's either the first, because typically they'll usually tell you what the rest are in these articles if they've already been cast. So I think he's the first. And then in the next story, Cole Sprouse, who plays Jughead on Riverdale, has now been signed on to the male lead of a CBS Films romantic drama called 5 Feet Apart. It'll be directed by Justin Baldoni from a script by Mickey Doherty. It's Mickey with Miki, which is an interesting spelling. Maybe foreign. And Tobias Iaconis was the other writer. The story centers on a young couple falling for one another, though they are both living on borrowed time. The female lead has not yet been cast, and shooting is expected to start in the spring, which is about the same time as the other one. So you can tell they're lining up their projects for when Riverdale's off.
When it's on hiatus, yeah.
Yeah, because they'll finish filming that maybe March, April. It sounds like they've set up their movies they can do.
They won't come back till maybe August.
Nah, more like June, July.
Is that early?
If they're doing a 22 plus episode season, they're back in like June, July.
Okay, I didn't think they started till a bit later.
At least from, and I'm not doing this on purpose, but the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I know that for the actors it was a 9-month job, so I know they get 3 months off on that show at least, and I imagine it's not changed much.
No, that's fair. I just assumed that, with the CW they don't start airing till October. I feel like, okay, they don't have to be in quite as early as the early September shows.
Nah, I think that's because a lot of their shows are more effects heavy though, so they have to get an earlier start.
Quite possibly, yeah.
So no, I think they get like April, May, and maybe most of June off, but I think they're back at end of June, early July.
Okay, that's enough time to squeeze in a movie.
Oh, it is, yeah. A movie like, I mean, especially for a drama like this. I mean, this will be what, maybe a 3 week,
6-7 weeks at most. Well, first, it's including reshoots,
including like posting. Yeah, but I think the shooting schedule will be like 3 weeks, and then they'll have a bit of like dubbing maybe to do, and obviously they'll have promotion later on, but. Yeah, they can squeeze those in. And next up, actor Robbie Jones from One Tree Hill and Necessary Roughness. I've not heard of that second one, I'll tell you that. Has come aboard for a New Line Tim Story directed Shaft sequel. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. He's going to... I don't know if he's necessarily the lead, but he's going to play Shaft's son. And then Samuel L. Jackson is back, as is Richard Roundtree, who's the original Shaft. He was in the 2001 or whatever it was movie, but I still think it's weird that movie's getting a sequel. I don't remember it being necessarily loved that much or doing that well at the time. I don't remember liking it.
I feel like it's got a bunch of comic adaptations or sequel.
Comic.
Really? Oh. I think so. So maybe that's, there's clearly a fan base for it if there is that.
Interesting. And yeah, there's a bunch of other people already casted it, like Method Man's in it, Regina Hall's in it, Alexander Shipp's in it, Jesse T. Usher's in it. It's got a June 2019 release date and follows Shaft Jr., aka JJ.
So he is the lead.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is true, yeah. I did all this news yesterday, so I didn't remember any of
No,
this.
that's fair.
A cybersecurity expert, an FBI analyst who reluctantly enlists his estranged father to help find out who killed his best friend, Kareem, and bring down a drug trafficking, money laundering operation in New York City. That's a little bit different. I kind of like that he's not actually Shaft already, if that makes sense. Like, he's got a more...
This is how he becomes Shaft.
Yeah, it's like he goes to sort of like, off the book old man to help. He's more of a by the book.
This is his origin story.
Yeah. Okay, we're on to trailers. Trailer halftime. This is where Connor's music that he's already composed for us will play to indicate that we're going to trailers.
Give me 2 or 3 weeks. It's happening. I'm busy till then, but then I've got time.
All right. I'm just going to keep indicating where it's going to be. Anyway, so we got a bunch of trailers this week, as we typically do. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 by my quick count, but admittedly my math is not very good.
It could be wrong, yeah.
Yeah, but about 13. So the first one, I don't typically put them in too much of an order, but maybe a couple that I see as the big ones that I'll put up front.
A headline and then a goofy one at the end.
Pretty much, yeah, that's the plan. So the first trailer is Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is the third Marvel movie coming this year. We got Black Panther soon, then we have Avengers Infinity War, and then in July, I believe it is, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Can I just point out the amazingness that I have gone this far and not seen a trailer for Infinity War?
Really? Yeah, that won't last.
It won't last. I mean, at the very least, I'm going to see it in front of Black Panther.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, when they do the next big trailer, you're going to talk about it on here, probably. You've not seen the first one, you can't say shit.
It depends if I've seen the first one by then. That said, there's probably going to be one at the Super Bowl, isn't there?
Yeah, there'll be a Super Bowl Infinity spot, yeah.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Fine.
But no, so Ant-Man and the Wasp, it does look very much in tone with the first one. And of course, they're making the Wasp more of a co-headliner. So a lot of the plot looks to be, no, she's going to be his partner, and she's getting a suit, and she's getting the wings, and there's some jokes about that. The shrinking technology of shrinking things down to like fit in your pocket or whatever seems back in full force.
Played for jokes, as usual.
Yeah, there's a building that gets shrunk down, and then it just gets carried off like a suitcase.
Yeah. I got a good chuckle out of that. I actually quite like the first Ant-Man movie. I don't love it, but I think it's really solid and fun, mainly because I like Paul Rudd being Paul Rudd, but happens to have shrinking powers.
I like Paul Rudd. I like Evangeline Lilly. Michael Douglas can be pretty good. I was surprised with how much I enjoyed it as a light movie. I didn't really get excited about it, and the villain's one of the worst villains Marvel have ever had. It was so forgettable. I remember
really disliking it on my first viewing because of the experience at the cinema. Because I ended up in my card got declined, so I had to go over it wasn't my card's fault, it was the machine. So I had to go over, I had to go get cash, I had to go to the cinema, go back, and then I got a really shit seat. I was 5 minutes late, and then I had someone kick in the back of my seat all film, and I kind of just hated the movie because of it. And then I saw it again, I was like, it's alright.
So the second one looks like it's more of the same. Maybe I'm hoping it maybe is more of a heist movie because the first one was promised as a heist movie, and I felt like it was not really. Like, it was kind of had the elements of it, but it wasn't.
It was a heist movie for about half of it. The first half, like, had the makings of, okay, this is gonna be a heist movie, and then it never actually got there.
Yeah, I really hope that's the path to go down with the second one, but I am excited for Wasp to be like. Yeah. Headlining with them.
And I know I don't think you see her in this trailer, but the villain, it's that masked person in the trailer. That's the woman from Killjoys. The main woman. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I don't think you actually see her face in this trailer. I just happen to know that.
Hopefully, I mean, the villain can't be worse than the first one. I'll say that at the very least.
It can't, no.
So that's nice. And Giant Man is in the trailer. You see a little bit of the Giant Man stuff. With his giant head coming up over a building. So, although admittedly, I never thought about this. That could be a close up of that building that shrunk, He may be regular size.
Oh, that's true, because they actually play with shrinking the other objects a lot in this trailer.
Yeah. But no, so if they get more inventive with that in combat, which is funny because the Flash this week, I know you've not watched it yet, but the Flash this week had some of that going on because the villain in this week's
I'm aware
Flash,
of the title. Yeah,
has some Dwarf Star has some shrinking and re-enlarging powers that have some fun Ant-Man-esque moments because of it.
Cool. Good episode.
Yeah, it was fun. My favourite character of the season was back this week.
I have no idea who that is.
The psychiatrist.
Oh, yes.
The best part about it as well is that Iris turns to I won't spoil the context of that, but Iris just starts saying, "Hey, if you need someone to help, someone to talk to, I know someone." And I got it before they cut to her, and I just started laughing, and it was great. But no, yeah, it was a pretty decent episode. It had some fun stuff. Some stuff was forced. We'll talk about
we'll get to that tomorrow.
Yeah,
tomorrow, Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, on the
I
television.
Saturday already. I don't know what day I'm on.
On the television from the Multiverse podcast, in which we talk about the DC shows of the week. That's the thing we do every.
It's the most natural plug ever.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Where was it going? Oh yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. Yeah, it was still on that.
Yeah, it looks fun.
It
looks fun, and I like the cast that are back. I assume Michael Pena's also back because he was a big part of the first movie.
Yeah, you don't see him in the trailer, but
I assume he's going to be there.
So.
If nothing else, I want a couple more of those segments. Remember that thing where he tells a story about his cousin, and it's all this he said she said thing, and at the end of the movie,
it leads kind of nowhere.
Yeah, but at the end of the movie, they did that thing where it built up to the conclusion moment, and it had all those little things where it was cut into all the people, but it was his voice telling the story, and then at the end, it was and there was a little Spider-Man reference, which was before we got Spider-Man, so it was a nice little kill thing.
He was the surprise of that movie for me. I wasn't expecting much from his character, and then I really enjoyed it a lot. Where the stuff that I expect to enjoy, I enjoyed.
Yeah,
but he was the surprise for me.
Yeah, the surprise for me was how much Baskin-Robbins featured in the plot.
That's true. I forgot about that. It's like Thingy with Power Rangers.
Krispy Kreme.
Yes.
So that's I'm in the Wasp. It looks fine. It's funny. I'm hearing a lot of good buzz about Black Panther, which is nice because I've been kind of down the Marvel movies recently, but I do like Ryan Coogler as a director, so I'm hoping that Black Panther wows me, and I'm hearing good buzz so far from the premiere. Which admittedly, the early stuff is usually good buzz, but there's talent behind this one.
Has the Rotten Tomatoes gone up for that yet?
Not yet. No. The embargo's not lifted yet.
Okay.
So we're waiting on that, but visually the trailers look fine, but I just wasn't excited by the premise.
Yeah, I still wouldn't say I'm excited for it because I'm kind of much like you. I'm kind of burnt out on the Marvel movies. And this looks like another Marvel movie.
I think I'm less apathetic than I was before, though. I feel like I'm closer to more being just, oh, okay, you know what? Show me what you got.
I'm still at the point where Thor Ragnarok was the first one I didn't see in the cinemas for a long time. A long time. Maybe
the start? Did you see the first Iron Man?
I didn't see the first Iron Man or Hulk, I don't think.
All right, okay.
So, way back.
I have seen them all in the theatre, so if I was going to make a choice at one point to not go, it would be quite a monumental thing, because it would be the first MCU movie I didn't see in the theatre.
Ironically, Thor Ragnarok was the one I was most excited for last year, and it was just work that meant I didn't get to see it with showtimes. But this is a case of, if this was going to be on home release before Infinity War, I might not go and see it in the cinema, but I can't see Infinity War without seeing this. That's just stupid.
Of course. It looks like a nice light time. I wonder if it'll actually be set after Infinity War, though, given how dark Infinity War is probably going to be and how it'll end, and because as much as they're not calling it parts 1 and 2 anymore, the general understanding, because they've actually already finished shooting Avengers 4. The understanding is it's still going to kind of continue on and be like the part 2, essentially, without the title.
So the ones in between are kind of murky, aren't they?
Yeah, are they set before, are they set after? I feel like it'll probably be set before, because they actually even reference Civil War in this trailer. He mentions
so obviously it's post-Civil War. I think that was always a given, though.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And, some of the characters from Civil War show, I think Andy Serkis is in it, right?
And then, if I'm right, the only other one before Avengers 4 is Captain Marvel, which you're looking at me funny.
No, I was just thinking.
That's next March. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's before the next Avengers. It's weird that they're all kind of front loaded this year because there's none in November time.
Yeah, there's usually it's usually like May, midsummer, like July, and then November.
Yeah, this year it's like February, May, and July, which is weird. But
they shifted them all forward for some reason.
More of a reason to put your Han Solo movie in the winter.
Aye, but it seems like we're getting a Super Bowl trailer for that, doesn't it?
Apparently we are. That's the buzz is that there's going to be a Super Bowl trailer for that finally, when we're 3 months away from the apparent release.
Hey, I'm actually at a point now where I'm as cynical about that as you, and there was a time where I wasn't.
I broke you down, yes.
I don't think it's you. I think it's just the lack of seeing anything about it.
I'm taking credit. But what was I getting at? I was going to say Captain Marvel being the only other one before. I actually think we might get a tease of Captain Marvel by the end of Infinity War, and I think it's going to play really nicely. That you're going to essentially get the tease of her, and then you'll get the flashback to her whole origin, and then it'll feed into Infinity Gauntlet, or whatever they're going to call the fourth one. Yeah, that's my guess. That's my guess. So
we're expecting Avengers 3 and 4 to just follow straight on. Typically they follow chronologically in terms of time period. They typically, the months that we miss in between films kind of happens in the Marvel universe as well, give or take.
Yeah.
We're kind of expecting 3 and 4 to break that trend and just be set right after each other.
It's essentially, I mean, if not set right after each other, if there is time passage, it'll be like, there won't be time in it. I don't think we'd set another movie, because it'll be like a really dark, depressing, like, let's say a bunch of people die at the end of Infinity War, and then you have this like little period of mourning and stuff. Like, I can see that being a thing, but yeah, I think essentially it's going to follow on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
That's my guess. I could be completely wrong, but
I'm actually intrigued to see. I'm not actually excited for Infinity War itself, but I'm intrigued to see how it ends. And okay, where are we leaving this for the year?
I'm hoping I love Infinity War. I want that Avengers excitement back. I really do.
I want to love it. Don't get me wrong, I do. But I'm just not excited. Maybe close to the time I'll get in. You just said you got more into Black Panther the closer we've gotten.
Yeah.
Hearing this buzz. I'm hoping that happens to me with Infinity War. Maybe it will.
It may, yeah. But I think having loved Spider-Man as much as I did last year, that was the one that stood out to me as being really great. And as much as I didn't love Guardians 2 as much as the first one, I'm still excited to see those characters interact with the others. Like, how does Rocket Raccoon interact with Tony Stark?
I actually think last year, even though I'm like I was the least excited for all the movies, I think it was one of the most consistent. Maybe underwhelming in some ways, but it was very consistent in its movies, more so than some previous years, I think.
Sure. I think it suffered coming right after Doctor Strange, which I flat out just disliked.
Yeah. And then ironically, for me, Thor Ragnarok was my favourite of the three. And I was actually slightly disappointed by Spider-Man, more so than most people were, I admit.
Yeah, Spider-Man seems to have pleased most Spider-Man fans.
Oh, no, it does, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but just for me, I was somewhat underwhelmed, but it was still a good movie. I'm not saying that.
Anyway, Ant-Man and the Wasp looks pretty decent. We'll move on, because we spent 10 minutes on that trailer.
Well, no, we spent like 4 minutes on that trailer and then 6 minutes on other shit.
The point is we're now 10 plus minutes out of the trailer section out of 13 trailers, and we've talked about one. Don't belittle my point, you ginger menace.
Alright, fine, but you're going to spend just as long on this one because you're so excited.
No, I'm not. We got a trailer for Mute, which is Duncan Jones' film. We know it's coming in February. We just heard that like last week. And we got a trailer here, and our main character, played by Alexander Skarsgård, is Mute, as the title would suggest. And it makes for a very interesting trailer, set in the future, in a futuristic city. And you have some other actors popping up. Paul Rudd, speaking of the devil, he's in there. Yeah. As well as a very weirdly haircut version of Justin Theroux from
It was
The
throwing
Leftovers.
me up because I knew Justin Theroux was in it, so I was looking for him, and I was like, wait, that's him with the hair.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they all all the villainous characters seem to be very frustrated that our lead won't speak. Which, makes me... It gave the trailer an interesting kind of tone, the fact that the main character does not speak.
Yes, definitely. It was different, wasn't it?
So I like that. I'm looking forward to it. I don't want to speak too much about it, just to say it looks good. I'm excited and expect a review of that soon after release.
I will say it's not as super in the future as I thought by watching it. I assumed it was a bit further in the future.
All right, okay.
But the description tells me it's 2052.
Yeah, that's far enough.
I know it is. I just thought it would be more, a bit further. But I mean, February 23rd. Looking forward to it now.
Next up, we had a trailer for Dundee. There was actually some small teases of this the last couple of weeks, but I just ignored them because there was nothing to talk about. This was the full trailer. They introduced a bunch of characters, and obviously this is a kind of revival of Crocodile Dundee, and you got, what's his face? Danny McBride in the lead role, who's not Australian. However, they have filled the rest of the film with just about every Australian actor you can probably think of. Both Hemsworths, Margot Robbie, Russell Crowe, Hugh Jackman.
Isla Fisher, Ruby Rose.
Is Isla Fisher Australian? I
actually looked into this because I wasn't sure. She has Scottish parents. She was born somewhere in the Middle East by United Arab Emirates, but then she moved to Australia when she was like 4 and grew up there. So, for all intents and purposes.
Huh.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. But when everyone else in there was like Australian, I looked into it.
The funny thing is, though, I've seen her play a Scottish person, and she did the accent really well. Which is, I mean,
now you know why.
If her parents are both Scottish, and I guess she grew up with it, so she can probably. Yeah. She maybe had that accent first, given that she grew up with her parents.
Yeah, they probably had it, and she picked it up off them.
Interesting. That's a really interesting.
It's a really strange concoction of places, isn't it?
Yeah, concoction was the word I was going to use. As for the movie itself, I've never seen the Crocodile Dundee movies, and it looks like there'll be some humour, but I don't know if I can't say I'm excited about this in any way.
It's the sort of movie that I can see myself watching on a Sunday afternoon.
But it didn't, it didn't do anything to sell it on me as someone who's never really encountered the franchise beyond just hearing about it.
No. It looks alright though.
I did laugh though when the trailer went out. Hugh Jackman tweeted it out and said, "Oh, you didn't think they were going to bring Dundee back without me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because you're Australian. You're the most famous Australian actor, so of course you're in it."
Yeah, I genuinely do love that. This is right. How many Australian people can we get together at once?
I know, that's what it really feels like. I did appreciate the joke where he's like talking to what was the animal? It's on the road. There's a big animal. I can't remember what the animal was, and he's like trying to like whisper it basically. Like a horse whisperer, and then
do his hand thing.
Yeah, and then the guy who's with him, I think it's one of the Hemsworths, is like, "Hey, you need to be closer than that." And it cuts to this wide shot, and he's like 50 feet away from it.
He's like right next to the car.
Yeah,
still.
He's too scared to go close to it. That kind of made me chuckle. So I mean, there's potential for some humor, but it didn't really do anything to really inspire excitement.
I think it looks fun, but not a must-watch.
Next up, we had a trailer for a Netflix movie called The Week Of. Now, of course, Netflix have been, we just started Altered Carbon, they gave us Dark, they gave us Black Mirror, they've given us Stranger Things Season 2.
They're giving us Mute.
They've given us Mute. They've given us so many great things that it was time for them to restore balance and give us an Adam Sandler film. So, this is The Week Of.
Once every 2 years, right?
Yeah,
that's the schedule for
something
these.
like that. And most of it's in the car with him driving, I assume, his soon-to-be son-in-law. Because the whole thing's about a wedding. It's the week of the wedding. And it's just lots of building up to the wedding humour.
Yes.
And it's basically them arguing about the air conditioning. He's been polite about it, but he wants the air conditioning on. And that's kind of the joke. Honestly, the only thing that struck me about this trailer is that it really feels that Adam Sandler... I know this is a weird thing to say, but it really feels like he's just phoning it in. Like, when he's sitting in that car and he's saying his lines, he just sounds like a tired old man, just kind of saying what he's supposed to say without really trying to act. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's just like, hey, Netflix are paying me for this regardless, so why bother?
It feels like he's not trying.
Do you know what? I genuinely think that might be something to do with it. Netflix are giving him a flat fee, right?
I think so.
He has no incentive to... how a lot of actors of that level will have a back-end deal where... All right, you get a percentage gross of the of how it does in the
how could they? They don't charge for the movie.
Exactly. So Netflix is just a flat fee. So he's got his money. Why does he need to care? Not that I'm saying that actors shouldn't do this.
Well,
they should put effort in because
he's only made like a 4 or 6 movie deal, whatever it was. If he wants another deal after it, why would they do it if he's phoned in all the movies he made for them?
I know, but the last one did really well for them anyway.
Annoyingly did, yeah. What was it? The
I didn't watch it.
The something 8 or the something 7. The ridiculous 6. That's what it was. I knew it was.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy to say I never watched it. Anyway, moving on. Next trailer was Aardvark, and this was Zachary Quinto is going to see a therapist because he thinks he's seen his long lost brother around town. And then his actual long lost brother, played by John Hamm, shows up and starts befriending the therapist. And I'm like, okay, what is this movie? Like I'm not sure where it's going with this in the trailer. And then he starts to have the brother, John Hamm, starts to have a relationship with a therapist, but he doesn't tell his actual brother that he's in town. And the therapist is trying to convince him, you need to tell him he's in town because he's starting to have a mental break. And we see Zachary Quinto's acting all wacky and crazy. And then he starts saying that he's seeing his brother, but he's wearing different faces. So you see him talking to like random homeless people and being like, oh, you're my brother, I know you're here, and all this. It looks like a bit of a trippy thriller.
It looks like something that's really hard to convey in a trailer.
It does, actually, yeah.
And I like everyone involved in this. I mean, obviously the actors at least. I mentioned in the description here that the director is a first-time feature filmmaker, so
that could go either way.
Yeah, could do, but the premise is intriguing enough, I think, that even though the trailer I think is kind of hard to gauge how it actually will be.
Are they playing her? Like, as like what my mind goes to is that a possibility or what? Like.
Yeah, the description just says stars Jenny Slate as a mental health professional, Emily, who falls for the brother of a patient who may or may not be suffering from schizophrenia. So I think the angle of are they playing her might actually be the thing that we go with.
That's interesting. But no, I mean, interesting ideas in there, certainly. I was expecting. Next up, we had a trailer for Hereditary, which is a horror film from A24. A24, who seem to be pumping out nothing but good movies for the last couple of years.
What have they done?
They did The Witch, they did It Comes at Night, and they've done Hereditary. They've done a lot of non-horror movies as well, but those are the ones that I can remember from.
I've seen It Comes at Night. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and this looks like a very psychological horror film. It is a sort of ghosty, haunting movie, but the trailer's very stylistic. It uses a dollhouse to sort of accent its points. Toni Collette stars in it. The scares look very interesting, and it seems to revolve around like her dead mother coming back to like cause chaos. At least that's what she thinks it is. I feel like the movie might twist us in the actual film.
It looks like the movie that'll go deeper than it says in the trailer for sure.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a lot of style to it. I'm definitely into it. It's rare that I'll say I'm interested in something based on the studio making it, but A24 are actually kind of at a point now where they're kind of proving that they're making interesting movies, even if they don't always end up being great films. They're always worth a watch.
That's fair. I think for me, because I mean, obviously you told me now what they do. I wasn't super familiar with them when I watched this. I think it just has a really interesting tone to it that I'm not used to seeing in a horror movie. There's just it's different, isn't it?
It does that very quick harsh strings that ends in a pluck noise a lot.
Yes, it does.
Which we got a lot in the... That was in the Split trailer a lot, if I recall correctly. But it looks interesting. Looking forward to it. Next up, we got a trailer for...
that one's coming June 8th. So
interesting.
Get that this summer.
Next up, we got a trailer for... sorry, that was the same one. Next up, we got a trailer for When We First Met, which is kind of it's a time travel movie. A very specific kind of premise where basically Alexander Daddario and her best friend, the main guy, who I know from The Final Girls, he's a douchebag from the 80s in the Final Girls.
I know him from the first two Pitch Perfect movies.
Is he a douchebag in that as well?
He is in the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Less in the second.
I've seen them, I just can't remember them. But, so... basically, he meets her on this night. They hit it off. He's like, "Oh man, this girl is great," and of course she's Alexander Daddario. Of course he's interested, and then he waits too long, and she gives him the friend hug, and is just like, "Oh, I'm happy you're my new friend." And then it's like 3 years later, it's present day, and she's getting married.
She's getting married to Robbie Amell.
Robbie Amell, who pops up a lot these days,
especially in Netflix movie, because this is a Netflix movie, right?
Was it? Oh, it was. Yeah, you're right. It's coming out next month. Yeah. Or later this month.
Yes.
Because we're February now.
I'll catch the date.
It was soon.
It's coming February 9th.
Yeah, really soon.
That's next week.
That's next week. So that's cool. But anyway, so they're getting married, and he goes back to the little photo booth that they went to on the night they first met, and he ends up back in the day where they first met. So he tries to do things differently, and he completely creeps her out. And she thinks he's a stalker because he knows all these things that she's not told him. And then he ends up doing it over and over again. He keeps going back, trying to win her on the first night. Which sounds like a fun plot, I'm not going to lie.
It does, yeah.
I think it's weird that he's the leading man, though, because he's so typecast normally as a douchebag that He's got that face. He's the idiot bully.
He's got a very punchable face, doesn't he?
He does. He's got a very punchable face, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. But he does.
I go. I see why Alexander Daddario is friend zoning you.
But no, I did like him in the movies I've seen him, and I do obviously like Alexander Daddario. Even in schlock like Texas Chainsaw 3D, she comes out, she comes out a winner.
Well, have you seen San Andreas yet?
I have actually.
Oh, okay. Did she come out a winner in that one?
I mean, I liked her and The Rock in it, but I don't know if I'd say they came out looking like they were in a good movie, admittedly. Whereas Texas Chainsaw 3D, I'll stick up for quite a bit, actually. As a fan of slasher movies. Anyway, so that's coming out. Next up, we got a trailer for Unsane, which is a Steven Soderbergh movie. Wasn't he supposed to retire like 3 years ago? I seem to recall that being a thing.
I feel like a lot of people say that. Oh, I'm retiring, and then it's so. The reality is when they do the next one, it's like, oh, look, he's back.
So this is about a woman who basically has a stalker. And when she goes to report it, she ends up being committed to a mental hospital against her will. And it's kind of playing with, does she actually have a stalker, or is this all in her head? I think the most noble thing about this trailer for me, though, was the visual style of it is very low budget looking. Like Soderbergh's went out of his way to make it look like it was filmed by, like, you know, consumer cameras or whatever.
Yeah,
it's got that vibe to it.
Tone.
It kind of does, because it's like, is this real? Is it not real? It kind of, you know, plays that vibe.
Yes. You know, the lead's Claire Foy, who I like a lot from The Crown. She's the lead in that.
Oh, admittedly, I've never really been that drawn to Soderbergh movies, and the couple I've seen, I didn't really like that much. So, you know, I'm being skeptical based on just my past with him.
That's fair. I like him more than I don't. I wouldn't say I love his movies, but I like them for the most part.
He did a movie with Channing Tatum and
Magic Mike.
No. And Rooney Mara.
Okay.
It was like a psychological thriller, and I fell asleep during the middle of it.
Oh boy!
In the theater, and woke up with like 10 minutes left and didn't understand what was happening. Which I'm not blaming him for me not knowing what happened. I'm blaming him for me falling asleep. It's just to clarify that. But that's called Unsane. But I admit the trailer's quite effective, even though
it's good at what it's trying to do.
Yeah,
but it might not be a great movie. It's coming out in March, so.
Next up, we got a trailer for Submergence, which is James McAvoy sporting his original accent with Alicia Vikander. I asked you that because we were scamming through the trailers.
You went, it's the one from that, and I told you her name instantly, and you were like, okay, I'll remember that. Yeah,
because I know who she is. I just, for some reason, my name keeps blanking. Because she's not a robot and she's not Lara Croft. I'm confused by her being a normal person. It's weird.
So you don't like it.
But they fall in love. And he's like a soldier / spy operative kind of guy who ends up going off to dangerous missions. The trailer's kind of intercut between the two stories, and I feel like the movie probably will be as well.
Yeah.
Where it'll cut between the two things. Now, I thought the trailer, the story doesn't necessarily strike me as being particularly great. It feels a little bit in the sappy side. However, the trailer, the way it does cut between them, and the music does make it feel really well put together as a packaged trailer.
It does. I feel like it's a little bit fragmented, but it's, you know, it's centered by their performances.
Yeah, and it all kind of starts with her describing what going. You know, the title comes from the fact that she goes deep sea diving and she takes him down. She's describing what it feels like in the layers of the ocean, and you know, it's using a lot of metaphors, and it's really. The big thing for me though is when the director's name popped up.
Okay.
Wim Wenders. He probably, given that he's German, probably pronounces it Wim Wenders, but
yeah,
he directed one of my favorite films of all time.
Oh, I'll be honest, I'm not familiar with the name.
Paris, Texas. He directed that.
Okay. You've been going on about that film for at least 4 years now, and it's been on my to watch. You know, every time we do a list of this could fit in there, that category, it's been on my list to watch that. And I still haven't. I'll tell you
what though. When we do best movies of the 80s, that is
You're making me watch it.
That's the month you're watching that damn film, because that'll be a fantastic episode of Influx. That'll be a
don't get me wrong. I'm actually excited to watch it based on just how much you've told me. And I know a few other people in the Malfas group have watched it because you've said that, and all of them have come back going, "That was great. Thanks for the recommendation."
It's Harry Dean Stanton in a lead role, which he never typically did, but he's a tour de force in that film. That's great.
He's a great actor. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Like I remember, like people asked him, like, why didn't you do more lead roles? And he was kind of like, I don't really need to lead. I like doing it the once or twice, but like I don't need the stardom. I like just being a good actor.
I didn't want to.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. But yeah, so him. I mean, admittedly, I've seen that. I've seen Wings of Desire, which is another fantastic film that he did. That was a German film that he did a little bit after Paris, Texas. That's very well. Both movies have Criterion releases just to sort of back up
get a little bit of prestige.
Yeah, back up my statements. But I've not really seen what he's done really. For whatever reason, I've never really tracked down all of his newer stuff, so I actually don't know what his modern stuff's like. Because some directors, they change their styles over the years, or
yeah, some of them just kind of go off the rails.
But his name means that no, I have to try it. I have to check it out.
Well, you can try it on May 18th.
But I did think the trailer was well put together as well.
No, I did as well, because I think you say, oh, it's two of these separate stories, or the way it presents it.
Yeah.
And that can sound really bad, but it comes across as it knows what it's doing. Yeah,
because obviously the whole thing is he's getting deeper and deeper in more dangerous situations in his mission, and that's kind of the ocean. It's like potential.
I did like the look of this. Yeah,
potential. Next up, we had a foreign film called The Cannibal Club, which looked like rich people hiring like someone who's poor for a job, and them not knowing that it's going to be to be eaten. And whatever sick shit. There wasn't a whole lot in the trailer, but it was very moody. You got a real sense of this like evil 1% like behind the glass watching their prey be like killed kind of vibe. So potential there. I thought it was worth mentioning, even if briefly.
No, it looked pretty good. I'm not sure what country it was from. I don't remember. Do you?
Do you know what? I checked when I watched it and I've forgotten that. No, I remember. It was Brazil.
Okay. I know the trailer was from the Rotterdam Film Festival, but that kind of doesn't mean where it's from.
No, it's from Brazil, because from sound, like, once I read that, I was like, oh yeah, that's Portuguese. But like when I just hear it, I don't necessarily just jump to that's Portuguese. Like, it sounds a little bit like Spanish, a little bit like a few other things.
No, I get you. It had a tone to it, if nothing else. I couldn't tell you too much about the plot based on the trailer, but it made me interested in just the ideas.
All right, next up. By the way, there was a cut there, which means we're already over 30 minutes in the trailers. That's that Ant-Man talk at the start.
Hey,
pushed us over.
Expect more next week.
We haven't done that before. It's always been the 1 30-minute chunk. Anyway, so Midnighters is the next trailer, and this is one kind of like Aardvark in a way, where I'm like, okay, I'm not entirely sure what the movie is, but clearly there's going to be a lot of what's really going on in the movie itself. Well, that's kind of the point, is that you're not sure, because basically this couple run over a guy on the way to like one of their house, and then they call their one of them calls their brother to come and help them, and it seems to mostly focus on like at the house, and they've got this guy who's hurt, but they find something on his body that implies that they were actually he was on his way to their house for some bizarre reason. They don't know why, and the trailer seems to play it like, oh, is one of the brothers actually like in this? Were they trying to like kill someone? What was the intent here? And it plays it like a sort of mystery thriller. It got that point across to me, so I can't fault it too much. I will say that it does feel like a very confusing trailer, though. Because
and I'll be honest, I found myself ultimately uninterested.
That's fair. It's fair to say that maybe it doesn't seem quite good enough at what it's trying to do to actually be exciting. I didn't hate it, though. It's kind of in this place where I can kind of see what it's going for, and the movie itself might actually...
It is, and then it popped up with, from the director of episodes of The Walking Dead and Krypton.
Which is really weird, given Krypton's not... Yeah.
Okay. Why are you telling me both of those? They seem really contradictory.
That is weird. It's weird to... I've never seen a movie trailer tell me that the director's...
Do you know what the worst part is? Krypton, I think, doesn't start till mid or late March, right?
Uh-huh.
This comes out theaters and VOD March 2nd. So they're advertising this based on something that won't be out by the time this releases.
That's just kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
But hey, so...
I mean, I don't think this quite classes as horror enough for Screams. But if you do want to, and don't want to do it on release, you can save this, because this is a New Year's movie. It's set on New Year's Eve.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting from the description here.
You
can add that to your list.
My New Year's list, yeah. Next up, we got a trailer for Irreplaceable You, which is another Netflix movie. They're pumping them out. And This is, not to put it down, but it's a sappy movie about a couple and the wife gets cancer, or the wife to be gets cancer.
This is the second thing we've talked about today with Gugu Mbatha-Raw in it.
Oh really? Who's that?
Yes, she's the lead, the wife.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was a guy's name.
Oh, God, you're a disgrace. She's been in stuff that you've seen, right? I'm sure.
Has she? I don't know.
Because I'm familiar with her enough.
Oh, fair enough. She looked good in this trailer, to be fair. Like she seemed like a good actress. Which is the thing I'd say about this trailer is that she seems very likable and very warm, and you've got like sort of like small roles filled with people like Christopher Walken is in there, who's always nice to see. You also have Kate McKinnon is in there as well, and it looks like it's got some humour in it, which is nice. Which I don't know if I'd watch it though.
Yeah, I feel very similar about it. Like, it has an interesting tone, and yeah, Steve Coogan's in there as well for some reason.
Yeah, it's got that tone where, yeah, okay, we're someone's got cancer and we're dealing with the terminal illness of it, but we're going to have jokes. She's going to crack jokes while she's on her deathbed. And
it reminds me of 50-50. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
The Jessica Gordon-Levitt one.
Yeah, no, I can see the comparison.
Yeah.
But at the same time, though, I don't know if I'm ready. If I hear it's good, though, if it gets good buzz, then that's a different thing entirely. But just based on the trailer alone, I can see that the cast is probably excellent. Like
this is one where it's on Netflix, so I might just watch it.
Yeah, but no, the lead, she does genuinely look like she's going to give this like a warm kind of centre that's going to make the whole thing work. Yeah. So as much as I can't remember if I've seen her anything else, she looks like she's going to like carry this entire film on her back.
She does, yeah, absolutely.
Well, obviously, the rest of the cast look good, but she's going to carry it. So I'll praise it, even though I don't know if it necessarily made me want to watch a movie about someone getting cancer.
No, this is out on Netflix February 16th, so maybe we'll check it out if we get time that week.
So we get the happy-go-lucky time travel romance, and then a week later they hit us with cancer.
Pretty much, yes.
All right, just checking. And then that takes us to the final trailer, which is a bit of a joke trailer, but I did not know this existed until I saw this. So, for some reason, 19 years after the fact, there is a direct-to-video, or I suppose these days it's directed. I mean, it is coming out in Blu-ray and DVD and all that, but I suppose these days it's more direct-to-VOD, because that's kind of the main format now. But Deep Blue Sea 2 exists.
I'll be honest, I've not seen the first one, but I love this. It's so stupid.
I like the first one quite a bit. It's not a great movie, but it's a B movie. Like,
no, it's one of those B movies that's on my list to get to one day when I'm drunk. But unfortunately, I seem to spend all of those evenings now watching Arrow.
That'll go off season at some point. But just to put it in some perspective, right? In this movie, LL Cool J he's got a pet bird. I cannot remember the specific species of bird, but he has a pet bird. And it's all this underwater base. They're doing experiments on sharks because they think they can cure diseases because they've genetically enhanced these sharks. But the problem is they've made them too smart, and that leads to all the shenanigans that happen. By the way, the trailer for this looks like just a remake of the first one. Honestly, with maybe maybe with a few extra silly elements, but even see the scene in the trailer in this when they've got like the pool and the shark comes up and they're doing like science stuff with it. That's in the first one. Like it looks like the same thing.
So it's classic direct-to-video sequel.
Yeah, it is. That said, I'm not saying I wouldn't watch this. I mean, it'll be bad. I have no doubt it'll be bad, but I wouldn't necessarily hate putting it on.
Hey, look, this is coming April 17th. I'm down for having a drunk watch of this with you.
Oh, I'm in for it. But I'll tell you, obviously the first one though had Samuel L. Jackson, LL Cool J, and Thomas Jane in it. So the first one had a good cast.
I like LL Cool J.
Yeah,
anyway, who's in this one still, obviously.
In the first one.
Yes.
Yeah. But he in the first movie he has a pet bird. I said that before, but and I struggled saying it again for some reason. The bird gets eaten by a shark. LL Cool J gets revenge for his pet bird. And he says a one-liner before he blows up a room to kill a shark.
I know we've never done a drunk in flux before, but would you be willing?
I would be willing to do Drunk Deep Blue Sea, and Deep Blue Sea 2 afterwards, of course.
Not the same night, a week apart.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll do it the week before.
No. 2 weeks. We need to give the Patreon a week first.
Oh, because they get it early. You're right. Because Deep Blue Sea 2 would be at a Gigawatts because it's a new movie. You're right.
Yes, exactly.
That'd go straight up. Yeah. Okay, that's the rules. But yeah, it looks like a remake with just actors that I've never heard of. To be honest, the shark jumping out in CG is funny because the first one was made in 1999 when CG was still pretty ropey. And it was like a mix of practical and CG. But the funny thing is that the CG was so early that I feel like this direct-to-video sequel in 2018 will probably have no worse CG than the first movie had, just because it's, newer.
Even the cheapest CG now is better than, early 2000s CG still.
Most of there's examples where they used it well at the time and it worked.
Oh, there is. There's specific instances, but the general usage.
But by the way, I just love at the end of the trailer, the Blu-ray case comes out of the water and floats.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. This has sharks being mind controlled. I mean,
that's new. They weren't mind controlled in the first film. They were just smart.
All right, but they're definitely mind controlled in this one.
There's a villain mind control in this one. That's the part that's not the remake. But up until that point, it was like just
Look,
remake.
You tell me mind control sharks, I'm there. What more can I want? I own on Blu-ray the movie Ghost Shark.
Of course you do.
No, exactly. Of course I do. Why would I not want to watch this?
Hey,
we'll get Matt involved as well. He's always down for sharks.
Yeah, I'm always up for good and bad shark movies. We did The Shallows and Gigawatts last year, or a year and a half ago.
How was that? I haven't got to that yet.
As a B shark movie, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was a nice simple premise where she's stuck in a rock the entire time and she can't do anything. And then the ending. I mean, okay, spoilers for The Shallows here, which it doesn't spoil. I mean, if you care about bad movies, I don't think it spoils it. But
it's fine. I'll watch it when I'm drunk. Anyway,
but I'm giving you spoilers, right? A spoiler warning for The Shallows. At the end of the movie, she doesn't just get back to the shore and get back to safety. She kills the shark.
Yes. She
kills the shark by luring it onto like a big pole that's underwater, like it's like part of like a ship or whatever this. Yeah. And she impales the shark through the face. That's how she wins the fight.
I'm so down for watching that movie.
It's not as silly up until that point because most of it is very kind of played for, like she's just on a rock. And I
remember the trailer playing it very much like a thriller.
Yeah, it kind of is, but then the ending is just full on B-movie shark nonsense, and great. So
I love B-movie sharks.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong with some B-movie sharks. Maybe we'll make April Shark Month. We'll do Jaws. We'll do Deep Blue Sea.
We've got to do Sharknado.
We could do... Sharknado's trying to be bad though, so it loses
no.
I
mean, the first one wasn't as much though.
I feel like I'd rather check it because it had was it 47 meters down last year? I've not seen that yet. I feel like
I've not seen that yet either.
I'd rather throw that in maybe. Or in fact, even the Jaws. I've not even seen the Jaws sequels. Do sequels.
Not me either. Actually, I've seen the first one obviously, but not the rest. Who hasn't seen the first Jaws?
I don't hear too many great things about 2, but I really want to see 3D. I hear 3D is like a B movie classic.
Great, let's do it. Shark movie month.
Shark month. Our Patreon for April is going to tank and then go back up in May because no one approves of Shark month on Flux.
We'll let them vote on which shark movie we do for April.
Oh, for one of them, yeah.
I mean, sure, but they go, all right, which one do you definitely want to see us do? And Jaws is not an option. It's all shit shark movies.
Oh, yeah. We'll just do Jaws by default, because it's Jaws.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we're back out in news.
That was the last trailer, wasn't it?
Oh, no. Favourite trailer of the week. We're doing it now. Damn it, I remembered.
Oh, God damn it. I thought you'd forgotten.
What's your favourite trailer of the week?
Oh, my favourite trailer of the week.
There's a few. I don't think there was maybe an absolute immaculate standout the last couple of weeks, but there's a lot of solid trailers this week.
I honestly think this is the first time since we've started this that my trailer is different from the movie I'm most excited for.
Ah.
Because the movie I'm most excited for, by far out of these, is Mute.
Mm-hmm. Helps us in a few weeks, but yeah.
It does. No, regardless of that, just the director attached. I'm like, I want to watch. That's, But I think the best and most interesting trailer was Aardvark.
Interesting. I would agree that I'm most excited for Mute, again, because of the director and the premise and everything else. But the trailer I think is the most interesting trailer. I'm tempted to be a dick and say Deep Blue Sea. No, I think I'm going with Submergence, actually. Even though I agree Aardvark, and I think
Aardvark, Hereditary, and Submergence are the standout trailers.
Absolutely. And then, I think Midnighters could be interesting. I think Irreplaceable You didn't look bad. Like, there wasn't...
No, I think it's actually on the whole, an above average week.
It is,
compared to what we usually have.
There's very little that's like, no, I don't want to see that.
When we first met, I'm down for watching. I don't think it's going to be a great movie, but I think it could be fun.
The week of is the only one that is a guaranteed complete trash.
That's honestly the only movie I thought, okay, I'm not watching that.
Yeah. All right, okay, there we go. So I'll go with Submergence. Admittedly, the excitement when the name came up, the director's name was part of it, but I think it's a pretty well together.
I thought it was a well put together trailer though, so it's why it's not my top, but because I don't have the experience that you do with them. All
right, so move on to the news again. And again, some of these might be quickfire, some of them won't be. It just depends on kind of how interesting they are on their own. First up, Paramount has got John Logan to write and adapt Walter Isaacson's book Leonardo da Vinci. It's just called Leonardo da Vinci.
Okay, that title's getting changed.
And it's going to star, wait for this, Leonardo DiCaprio.
I knew where you were going with that as soon as you said wait for this.
Here's the thing. This is what it says. The Da Vinci Project is special for DiCaprio, who got his first name because his pregnant mother was looking at a Leonardo da Vinci painting in a museum in Italy when her future star kicked for the first time. That's why he's got that name. He's going to play him.
I mean, it's a better reason than naming after Ninja Turtle.
No, it's not. Ninja Turtle's better.
No, you're right. Ninja Turtles are better. And Leo is my favourite Ninja Turtle, so...
He's my second favourite, but, I'm down for all four. I like all four.
Wait. Who's your favourite?
Raphael is the best Ninja Turtle. Suck it.
He's not quite the worst, but...
Mikey? Is that the worst?
Oh yeah, that's Stoner Prick. Comes right last.
I like all four, but Raph's my favourite. I think I liked Leo the most when I was a kid, but as I've gotten older, I've appreciated how Raph actually contributes more to the story that typically happens.
I think I liked Mikey when I was younger because he's the fun one, right? And then when I got older, I'm like, no, he's a dick. I don't like Mikey.
I don't think he's a dick, but yeah.
He just wants to eat pizza and chill out. I don't like him. He's a hippie.
They all want to eat pizza now. That's not
all right.
Spread
but
rumors.
He wants to eat pizza more than the other. That's all he wants to do. The others like, okay, we'll have pizza, but afterwards.
Okay. So it's a biopic. I'm not particularly excited by biopics usually, just because they have they have a tone, they have a style, they have a pacing.
You know what I think it is? I think it's the structure where they feel so. They're so concerned with being okay. No, this is how things happened, that they lose the structure of a movie.
Yeah. I'm sure we've talked about this before, and I think typically the better ones tend to be when they focus in on a particular thing.
They have an actual story to tell about the person rather than just this is what their life was.
I mean, next up, Brandon Routh is going to star as Tsar Nicholas in the upcoming Anastasia remake.
Okay.
So that's the thing that's happening. He'll portray the father of Anastasia in the reimagining of the classic story in which Anastasia Romanov escapes a portal when her father... That's a really random thing to come in there. When a portal... I mean, I know that's the plot of Anastasia, but it's just... You know. I've never actually seen it, to be fair.
I haven't either, surprisingly, actually.
A portal when her family is threatened by Vladimir Lenin and finds herself in the year 1988, which is the future for her, because it's set 1917 at the start.
Because Lenin.
Because Lenin, yeah. If that wasn't clear from the name, obviously. But, yeah, so... It's funny, it's already shot half the movie. It's shot... the 1988 portion was shot last year. And now the 1917 portion, in which Ruth will be in, is now shooting soon. So...
That's an interesting shooting schedule.
I imagine just because they wanted certain locations and maybe they had all
Probably.
the cash ready for the.
I think my biggest concern would be the young girl would look significantly older.
I'm sure they have enough smarts to, hide that.
I'd hope so.
I mean, it's only a year, so it's not.
Yeah, but a year when you're young is a big difference.
No, yeah, it can be, but like.
No. If they got lucky, it wasn't too bad.
You can cheese it. Maybe they shot all our stuff in green screen last year, and they're just shooting everyone else now. Next up, William Dafoe, who was in the Florida Project, and obviously a bunch of other stuff, but that's his recent kind of notable film, is going to be joining Edward Norton in a movie called Motherless Brooklyn, which is an adaptation of the Jonathan Lethem novel. The film is set in 1954's New York, where a Tourette syndrome affected private eye Lionel Eshrug, played by Norton, witnesses the murder of his only friend and mentor by shadowy thugs. Clues lead the detective to a Harlem nightclub and a beautiful young woman. That's missing a name. It says a beautiful young woman named who is leading a protest. So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Shoddy.
I think we've had shoddy reporting on the TV news relatively often. That might be the first instance of shoddy reporting on the movie news.
It might be. That is particularly bad. It's just missing a name. I bet I'll refer to her in a minute as well, and I'm not going to know who it is because the name's not there. Who is leading a protest against a powerful developer named Moses Randolph. Randolph is having having neighborhoods designated as slums so his people can buy up property to build an expressway. The private eye finds a connection between Randolph and his broken brother Paul and the young woman. The same connection that got his mentor killed. Dafoe plays the developer's brother, a man who is beaten and broken by his brothers, unwilling to directly bring down... full stop. And then, unwilling to directly bring down his brother, he becomes useful conduit and of information to the private eye. That was a long-ass description and very convoluted.
It was. I like Ed Norton, though.
Yeah, he's alright. I like William Dafoe.
Yeah, I like Ed Norton more, but yeah, Dafoe's good.
I don't have a lot to say about it, but that's the thing that's happening. So we'll move on. Let's not belabor the point. MGM has acquired the rights to develop an Aretha Franklin biopic starring Jennifer Hudson. Hudson, I think, was in Dreamgirls. That was her first big role, I think, and she's been in a lot of stuff since then.
I'm familiar with her, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what from.
Yeah, it's untitled right now. I'm going to make a guess here and say it's going to be called Respect, but it's going to be all caps and there'll be dashes between the letters. It'll just be
nice.
It'll be R-E-S-R-E... I spell it yourself.
You can't spell respect.
I can't spell it, but
I've had a few too many drinks, so I'm not going to try.
I'm put on the spot, right? I can spell just fine when I'm not under pressure. As soon as I'm under pressure... I'm
pretty sure it's R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Yes. But...
How does it feel to get shown up by a drunk?
You're not that drunk yet. We're not at Arrow yet. We're watching Arrow after this, but you're drunk. But yeah, Scott Bernstein and music producer Harvey Mason are attached as producers. Bernstein did Straight Outta Compton as a producer as well. So
okay.
So yeah, not a lot of information on it, but it's at least with Franklin. So, but it'll be called Respect. Mark my words.
Honestly, that's a pretty good title.
It is.
So
no, it's good.
They probably should just go with that.
It's easily our most famous song, right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Next up. Ben Kingsley, Gandhi, Schindler's List, and a whole bunch of really bad Uwe Boll movies for some reason. This is the thing. He's been in some of the most noteworthy Oscar-winning potential movies of all time, and then he's been in some absolute shite.
It is amusing. He is, in my opinion, a fantastic actor who sometimes does utter shite.
And Monica Bellucci. From a bunch of stuff. She was in Spectre recently, I suppose that's... she was in Twin Peaks, of course, this season, in a small role. Been in a bunch of stuff over the years. They're going to co-star in Spider in the Web, a counter-espionage thriller helmed by Erin Rickless, who directed Lemon Tree. I'd never heard of that one. The movie will shoot in Belgium and the Netherlands this spring. The story follows a once lauded but aging secret agent, Adarith, played by Kingsley, who is deemed past his prime by his superiors. Italy Tyron.
That's a mouthful of a name.
That's an actor.
I'm sure it's still a mouthful of a name, though.
Yeah. Italy Tyran stars as a young operative sent to track Adarith, and Bellucci's enigmatic character blurs the lines, as who is hunting whom becomes the question in a world of intrigue and deception. It sounds like a generic spy movie to me.
It sounds like a spy movie, which means I'll probably enjoy it. You'll probably hate it.
Yeah, not feeling it. The Orchard has purchased the North American rights to We the Animals. Following its debut at the Sundance Film Festival, it's a coming-of-age story, and it'll get a theatrical release sometime in 2018. You're struggling with your hiccups there, Connie, holding them in.
I am, sorry.
We the Animals won the Next Innovator Award at Sundance, and a tie with Night Comes On. That's interesting. Got tied for an award.
Does it tie very often?
I don't know. This is the first I've heard of it, but it's interesting. The film focuses on 3 boys growing up in rural New York. Their young parents have a stormy love affair that tears their family apart and reconstitutes it all over the course of the film. 2 of the boys grow into versions of their erratic but kindly father, but the youngest son, Jonah, is more sensitive and artistic in temperament, and forms a closer bond with his mother. Not a lot to go on, it just sounds like a family drama, but I mean, it's winning awards at Sundance, so it might actually be really well directed and stuff.
That's the thing, I think when you say something like, it's a drama, you know, because it hasn't got a twist to it, they can be good, they can be bad.
It could be fantastic. That's the thing I mentioned earlier. Paris, Texas is one of my favourite films. If I told you the premise of that, it probably wouldn't sound that exciting on its own.
Do you know what's intriguing? You know, I've said that's been on my list since you mentioned it like 4 years ago. I have no idea what the premise or what it's about is. I've just gone, sure, I'll watch it.
Good, go in blind. I think that'll.
I think I probably will at this point.
Just expect a slow, deliberately paced drama. Fantastic acting.
You know I have no problem with slow movies.
No. The slower the better for you. You can keep up with it. So moving on. So Peter Craig is going to be writing a movie. He co-wrote the final 2 Hunger Games movies, which admittedly the final 2 Hunger Games movies are not the ones I'd hold up as being good. But I wouldn't necessarily blame that on him. If you're handed a story for one movie and told to split it into 2 movies,
that's a hard task for even the best of people.
I don't fault him for maybe feeling at that. So, but he's going to do another young adult novel adaptation. He's going to write a movie called Stags, which is an acronym, and you'll find out what that is in the description here. But
something to do. That's one word. About gaming systems. There you go.
The acronym stands for St. Aidan the Great's School.
Ah, that's cheating. The T, it can't be Saint unless it's a lowercase t.
What do you want? I mean, to be fair, it doesn't actually tell me that's the acronym standing for. I'm just looking at that name and going, yeah, that's the acronym.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but that Saint is ST lowercase, not ST uppercase.
Hey, but how many other acronyms cheat a little bit so that they can have a cool sounding acronym? And
all of them, and I hate them all for it. Oh, well, no. Most of them. Some do it properly, and those I give credit to.
The heroine is Greer, a first-year student at St. Aidan the Great School, an exclusive English boarding school. After being ridiculed by its snootiest group, the Medievals, she and 9 other newcomer students are delighted to be invited by them to a weekend getaway that promises hunting, shooting, and fishing. They get to the estate and find that there's no adults anywhere on the premises, and Greer and the others soon find out that they are the prey to be hunted by the Medievals. So it's another violent young adult thing. The bullies hunting them.
This sounds like posh English private school, but they're hunted.
Well, no, it sounds like, because it's other students that are doing the hunting, so to me it sounds like the fox hunting assholes, but they're hunting other students instead.
Yeah, but they're all at the posh English private school.
Oh, sure.
So they're all probably pricks.
Or yeah, maybe like they've just opened up a scholarship or something like that. So this is all
I may be allowing my childhood to colour this a little.
Yeah. Let's move on. Magnet Releasing has acquired the worldwide rights to Body at Brighton Rock. This is a survival thriller. Centers on a novice park ranger who must spend the night guarding a potential crime scene on a remote mountain trail. I like that premise. It's a very simple.
That sounds good, actually.
Yeah. They acquired a movie based on the original screenplay by writer and director Roxanne Benjamin, who I looked at, because you know what, the name sounded familiar, so I looked up who she was. She's not directed any full movies before. This is her like feature film directorial debut. Yeah. But she did do segments in 2 anthologies that I did see over the last couple of years, in the XX and Southbound.
Okay, well, I mean, I know you've said both of those varied in quality from in story to story.
Southbound was generally pretty great, and then XX was a bit more of a mixed bag.
Was her story in XX one of the better ones? or are you not sure?
I think it was one of the worst ones, if I'm honest.
Okay, that's a little disappointing.
Horror Southbound was better, but not one of the best ones in the movie. But you got this is the thing though. Those two stories that weren't that great, the premise alone sounded bad. Like even just what it was about was kind of sucky. This actually sounds like it's got a good premise. That she has
definitely
defend this crime scene, but I'm assuming that there's maybe people who want to sabotage the crime scene or something like that.
Whoever committed the crime presumably wants to sully it up so they can't trace it back to them.
Yeah, the novice park ranger, so it's a rookie who's going to be scared. I actually kind of like
outside on their at the night, all alone.
Yeah. So, but obviously, I assume there'll be people like coming up and seeing them time to time to like build the tension. But yeah, so
I do like the sound of that quite a bit.
Body at Brighton Rock's the name of that one. I like the sound of it. Next up, Chrissy Metz from This Is Us is signed on to star in The Impossible. That's the sister. You don't remember Justin Hartley, the old Green Arrow from Smallville?
I know who Justin Hartley is. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I'm using this to describe who she is. She's the sister of his character. If you saw the pilot.
I did see the pilot. I have actually seen a bit more because my girlfriend watched
first
season. But yeah, no, I know who she is.
Yeah, she's joining The Impossible from Fox 2000. Roxanne Dawson, who's done episodes of The Deuce, is going to direct it. So that's another example of and the last one was short film segments, but this is a TV director.
That's a show where I couldn't tell you what episode exactly she directed.
It doesn't matter.
All of them were fantastic.
Yeah. It's also worth mentioning we had Michelle McLaren earlier as well. So clearly we're seeing some good TV directors, go up into some movies. But it's an adaptation of Joyce Smith's book. Again, it's called The Impossible. The book was called The Impossible: The Miraculous Story of a Mother's Faith and Her Child's Resurrection. So. Admittedly, I did not like the sound of this one bit, but here's the plot. Metz will star as Joyce, whose 14-year-old son fell through a frozen lake in Missouri one winter and was proclaimed lifeless. Through prayer and faith, Joyce sat by her son's bedside until his heart started beating again.
Was that it?
That was it, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the power of prayer.
Yeah.
It's a true story, because it's, the women who wrote it.
Yeah.
You gotta have faith.
Okay.
Have faith.
Okay, I get it. My problem with TV directors doing movies is sometimes it works out great, but TV shows often have an established style that the director just has to come in and fill. Right? Don't worry, they can do it very well, but they don't have to invent the style for themselves from scratch. And my concern always when they move to film is, can they bring something of themselves to it?
I think when it's something as stylistic as The Deuce or whatever, when you got one of those shows, I feel like they have to understand why the style works to do it and emulate it.
No, it's true. They have to at least be adept in the style. They have to understand. It's one of those things, you have to understand how something works before you can replicate it. So you have to have a familiarity with it. But whether that translates to being creative enough to make your own style with a movie, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
I think of Thor 2 had one of the Game of Thrones directors.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think his Game of Thrones episodes are phenomenal. Like, they're some of the best directed episodes in the show. They didn't bring a style across to that movie.
Well, we'll move on to the next story, which is Oscar nominee Keisha Castle-Hughes, who was involved in Whale Rider, is going to produce Wellwood, a sci-fi indie that centers on a terminally ill Laura and her husband Nick, who makes an extraterrestrial discovery that he decides will cure his wife.
Okay, there's potential in that. It's pretty vague.
Yeah. Interesting, she's also going to star in it. This was weird. Usually it'd say star and produce at the start. It wouldn't just throw it on me at the end. But she's been in Game of Thrones, apparently. She's going to play Gracie Marsh.
What was her name again, sorry?
Keisha Castle-Hughes.
Okay.
But yeah, she's going to play Gracie Marsh, the skeptical and thorough local deputy to the sheriff in the town, who's the town's de facto leader. The production is already on its way. It's already shooting in New Orleans, with Eliza Hooper directing. So, I mean, obviously the extraterrestrial part's got me somewhat interested. I'll say that much.
It sounds like very much to be a drama.
Yeah.
but with just a sci-fi twist on it.
Yeah.
Which can be great, don't get me wrong.
It could work. Next up, Robin Lively and Shameless star Shanola Hampton have been cast in the indie psychological thriller Through the Glass Darkly. It's a first-time feature from director Lauren Fash. I really want to say Flash there, but that's a weird name without the L. But yeah, so they're going to play Charlie and Amy, an unlikely duo that team up to solve the recent kidnapping of a local girl and a crime which echoes the disappearance of Charlie's own daughter. It doesn't mention that they're actually law enforcement, so it sounds like two people just sort of decide to become investigators themselves.
Vigilante justice.
Yeah. It has potential in that. It's all just kind of.
It's
on the
vague
quality.
enough that it could go either way. Yeah.
So hey, but that's the thing that's happening. Again, go through some of these quickly. I actually tried to cut down the news this week by actually turning away some stories that I would have put in. But no, you know what? That's not that interesting. I'll just leave it out.
You realise that we've ran quite long the last few.
Yeah, and we're already over 2 hours. So I mean, apparently my effort was almost.
To be fair, we spent 10 minutes on the Ant-Man trailer.
That's 10 minutes though. That's not that much of a difference.
Out of 2 hours, it's not. No.
Sony has got the Mudbound co-writer Virgil Williams to adapt A Journal for Jordan, Dana Kennedy's best-selling 2018 memoir that is being turned into a movie. The project's being produced by escape artist Todd Black and Denzel Washington, who is eyeing this as his next movie to direct. So Denzel Washington may be directing this. Okay. The novel tells the story of Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Kennedy and her love affair with First Sergeant Charles Monroe King, who kept a journal of his poignant life lessons for their newborn son Jordan while he was deployed overseas. He was killed in Iraq in 2006 when Jordan was 7 months old, but his lessons live on. So he kind of wrote like a journal of lessons for his son to read, and then tragically he died. But it almost made the journal more poignant because now it was this and, you know.
Yeah. So you definitely overemphasized killed. Like when you got to that word.
Sorry.
You kind of jumped it out. He was killed. But no, I get your point. It's one of those where this is something he left behind, but ultimately becomes more important because he's not there anymore.
Yeah, so I assume the book's kind of it's a mix of like her writing plus the excerpts of the actual
from that. Yeah.
I can see this being a proper tearjerker movie of like. Well, they have the kid growing up reading it. Like maybe she waits until he's old enough to like really understand it. So he gets it maybe like 15 or something like that, and he's like, crying.
This is one of those where I know Mudbound has just been nominated for a bunch of things. I feel like this is prime for awards.
It does
based on its premise.
It feels like it, yeah. Because they're going to celebrate this guy's life, and they're going to like it's going to be this tearjerker. And it's going to like I can see this sweeping awards next year.
I don't mean it's going to be bad. This could be amazing.
Oh, it could be. Yeah,
it sounds like it's okay. This is award season movie.
So next up, the last of the regular news, we have Generation X author Douglas Copeland, who's going to adapt his own novel, The Gum Thief, into a movie. The Canadian firm, which is JB Sugar's No Equal, that's the firm that he's teamed with to do this, optioned the rights to the book. It's a 2007 book, and Sugar will direct the movie. So, yeah. So it's his company, he's directing the movie. So it's all kind of falling into place. The Gum Thief tells the story of Roger and Bethany, two Staples employees. So I was going to say two staple employees, as if they're two staple employees of the company.
No, that would have made sense.
It would have made sense. But no, they're two Staples employees from North Vancouver with very different backgrounds. Roger is a middle-aged alcoholic dealing with an ugly divorce and the loss of his child, and Bethany, a young goth working in a McJob, as defined in Copeland's 1991 book, Generation X. So I take it that means someone who works at McDonald's, or a similar type job. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I was just checking. I heard you said McJob. I assume that means, okay, it's very fast food.
Yeah, that's what I assume. But anyway, so Bethany discovers Roger is basing a character in his novel on her. The story within a story reveals a complex meta-narrative.
That doesn't sound too bad.
That last part made it a lot more interesting.
It did. I'm always torn when an author is adapting their own works for the screen. On one hand, they know it better than anyone. They know what has to be in there and what can't be cut. On the other, they're typically, not always, but typically they're novelists first and foremost, and they might not understand what is best adapted to the screen and what needs to be changed for the medium. So this is one where I could see going either way.
Yeah. But that'll take us on to the horror section, and this is where Connor's little scary cue music will play when he gets around to actually composing it.
I feel like until that happens, you could take the last little bit of the Screams theme and just throw that in. I'm
not doing that. No, that's making you look better.
Alright, fine, I'll do work. Screw you.
Blumhouse has titled its fourth Purge movie.
Of course we're starting this with Blumhouse.
It's coming out July 4th. Which, you know, if you're the Purge being such a sort of like a holiday thing, it makes sense to put it on July 4th. And it turns out it's a prequel. It's called The First Purge.
I know little to nothing about this movie, but I have seen the poster, and I think July 4th is the perfect date for it, based on that poster alone. The
poster is fantastic. It's the red hat with the white text just saying The First Purge. And if you don't get that reference, then you've been kind of ignoring the news for the last couple of years.
Yeah, if you don't get that reference, then
it's basically saying this is the type of established, government regime that might install something as ridiculous as the Purge. That's basically what they're saying. But it's just that hat with the first Purge and then just a white background. It's very simple and it's very effective.
It is, because I've not seen any of the Purge movies, but that poster tells me everything I need to know about what this movie is.
Yeah. Also, I actually kind of just ignoring that satire element of it, I feel like it's actually a good. As much as I went on a tirade about prequels in the TV news this week, I feel like the idea of the Purge and what the first one was like is actually, because there's so much like, oh, it's all in one night and all this action happens, and they're all kind of basically the same thing but with a different twist on it each time anyway.
I know I defended prequels more than you did in that, but I think the Purge inherently, from what I know, there's not a lot to wink wink nudge nudge at. It's the Purge.
No. There is characters that carry through the second and third movie together. So it'll be weird not having Frank Grill in it, because he was kind of the hero of the second and third ones.
I have to say, should I watch these? Some people tell me, yeah, they're great, and other people go, yeah,
they're fine watches if you want something to put on while you're doing something. The first one is the disappointing one, because it's like you feel like you do a lot with this premise, and it doesn't necessarily capitalise on it, but it's okay. Like, it's not a bad watch. The most interesting part comes at the end, and it sort of raises some interesting questions. And then 2 and 3, I think, are more fun kind of B movies that kind of feel like they're inspired by like Escape from New York, where you're out in the streets during the Purge. You're not in a safe house. You're out in the streets and try to survive.
Maybe I'll throw these on my list for October.
Yeah, but they're okay. They're not great. I don't think they're but I think 2 and 3 are worth fun watches.
Okay, cool. I think I said November there because I had elections on my mind.
October. Yes, for Halloween.
No, I corrected myself to October. Yeah. But I said November 1st because elections.
Yeah. So the description here is basically almost like an in-universe thing. It says, "Welcome to the movement that began as a simple experiment, the first Purge. To push crime rate below the 1% for the rest of the year, the new Founding Fathers of America," which is the organisation from the previous movies, test a sociological theory that vents aggression for one night and in one isolated community. So it doesn't sound like it's nationwide, this first one. It's just like a town.
This is the test.
Yeah. Which again is a little bit different, so that's kind of cool. But when the violence of the oppressors meets the rage of the marginalised, the contagion will explode from the Trial City borders and spread across the nation. So it sounds like it starts specific, and then across the country, everyone just kind of starts doing it because.
I have to say, even though I've never seen the movies, I really like the idea of the Purge as a concept for the movies. I think it's great.
Also, it made for a really good episode of Rick and Morty as well,
which I have not seen properly. I've seen 10 minutes of when I was in a comic shop and they had it on the TV.
And was it the Purge episode?
It was the Purge episode. That was that is my first exposure to Rick and Morty.
They're on a planet that is the Purge.
Even not having seen the Purge movies, watching that without even sound, just subtitles, I understood. Oh, they're doing the Purge. So,
yeah, it's worth mentioning this is the first one with a different director. James DeMonico, who directed the first 3, is still writing and producing this one, but Gerard McMurray is directing it. So we'll see if that has any sort of impact on the style or anything.
I think at least the writing's the same, so it should help it be consistent.
Yeah, it's the same creator at core. knows? Maybe if it's at least as fun as as 2 and 3, then I'll be happy enough with it. But even those don't like overly excite me. Like I'm not like, oh yeah, another Purge movie, great. But I was like, that's very cool. I'll see
Purge
it.
Movie could be alright.
I'll see it. I'll have some fun moments probably.
Well, you'll be doing it on Screams, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, obviously. Next up, Octavia Spencer is going to reteam with the director of The Help, which was not a horror film, of course, but that's Tate Taylor, the director in question, for a Blumhouse production.
Oh, another one.
Now, to be fair, this says twisted thriller. I'm going to go out in the limb though. I've put it in the horror section. It's a Blumhouse thriller. I feel like it's going to be a horror movie by the time it's done.
Do you know what I'd love? I'd love for us to count every episode, see was more or less than half Blumhouse.
So yeah, so it's called Ma, just M-A, Ma. So it's Southern, mother greeting, Ma. It'll also start Juliette Lewis and Luke Evans. So it's got some cast notable names in there. Plot details are sparse, but Deadline is saying that Spencer will play a lonely woman who befriends a group of teenagers with torturous consequences for the kids. It's crazy single woman.
Very vague.
Yeah.
A good cast. Also, the second one in this episode that has cast from The Alienist.
That's true. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Juliette Lewis and Luke Evans might be the parents looking for the kids.
It sounds like it, yeah.
That'd be my guess. Because obviously the kids will be probably bigger roles than they will be.
Yeah.
You would think.
But you got to have... I think that's how they got the bigger names attached, is, hey, you've only got to come in for 3 days. It'll be fine. Just come in, do your role, and then you can piss off and we'll leave it for the kids.
So, that's cool. So next up, screenwriter, Oscar-winning screenwriter, I should say, Jeffrey Fletcher, has been tapped to write a screenplay for CG Entertainment's English language remake. This is funny, actually, because we did the trailer for this like 2 weeks ago.
Oh?
Do you remember The Housemaid that was set in Vietnam?
Oh, I do, actually, yes.
Yeah. That is actually a Vietnamese movie. We were thrown off because there's actually scenes in the trailer in English, because there is English-speaking characters in the movie.
I remember when we go through the trailers, before we do it, I go, typically I watch them a few hours or if not a day before, and you tell me, oh, this was this one. I said, oh, is that the foreign one? And you went, no, it's English. And I went, okay, but it had subtitles. That's why I'm thinking that. Because
it played like, no, it's an English-speaking movie, but it's set in Vietnam, so there's Vietnamese parts, but there's like, because there is definitely multiple characters in that, but apparently no. What they're doing here in remaking this, Derek Wynn made the original, and the screenplay is going to, fun enough, Fletcher, who's writing the screenplay, wrote the screenplay for Precious. I was just like, how does that connect to this? If you remember Precious, that was a really depressing drama.
I never saw it, but I'm familiar with it.
I did see it. I kind of regretted it, to be honest. Like, it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of like, it was just.
I won't bother then.
It was just going for the easy like gut punch drama thing beats to try and make you shocked. It was
Oscar bait is what you're saying.
Shock value nonsense. I wasn't into it. Anyway, but the story is set in the story in the original was set in Vietnam during the first Indo-Chinese War, right? And it follows an orphan country girl who's hired to be a housemaid at a haunted French rubber plantation. She unexpectedly falls in love with the French landowner and awakens the vengeful ghost of his dead wife. So that was the original movie, right?
Yes,
that's what we saw in the trailer.
I remember that.
Right? Like the original, the remake will stick to the same concept, exploring racial and social themes. However, it will take place in the Deep South during the Reconstruction era. So they're actually changing the location to be more fitting for...
I get it. That still fits what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I guess
I get it.
I guess it's been doing well, the original, when it's been playing in Vietnam or it's been playing in festivals and stuff. I guess they thought, oh, we can do something with this.
I mean, I don't know if it's had a release yet or if it's just been festivals, but must have been getting buzz.
Alright, our final story, which pushes it at 4, which means 2 of them are Blumhouse, so it's half. Is it bang on half?
Oh, dead on.
Baby. Unless this ends up being Blumhouse again, I'm forgetting. No, I think we're good. So this is director Robin Aubert. He's making a zombie apocalypse drama.
I'm in.
It's foreign language. It's actually a Canadian film, but it's in French. It's called
Yeah.
It's Les Affem, if I'm saying that right.
Maybe I don't know French. I did 5 years of French, and I can barely say hello.
It translates as the Ravenous, so I'll say that.
Cool.
But yeah, so
it's a good title. I'll give it that.
It was named Best Canadian Feature at the Toronto Film Festival last year, and is up for 5 Canadian Screen Awards. So it's yeah. So Netflix are actually the ones putting it out in March in a lot of the planet, not everywhere. Canada, Latin America, and Eastern Europe are not getting it on Netflix, but it seems like everywhere else is. So, it's not too long until you can give it a try. The film is set in a small remote village in upstate Quebec. Quebec, I should say.
Quebec, yeah.
I said that weird. That was a slip of the tongue. I'm familiar with Quebec,
fine.
alright?
You get one.
Where the locals are not the same anymore. Their bodies are breaking down and are turning against their loved ones. A handful of survivors go into hiding in the woods, looking for others like them. It sounds like, the premise is like a really generic zombie movie.
It sounds half like a zombie movie, half like a body snatchers movie.
I could see, yeah. That might just be their wording, though. It could just be a full-on zombie movie.
It could be their word. It could be. I'm just saying, from what you said to me then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, so,
here's the thing. I know sections of Canada speak French.
Yes.
But calling this a foreign language movie, that sounds like, this is a foreign movie. That just sounds pretentious when it's just a Canadian movie.
It's in French, though.
It is, but who gives a shit? It's Canadian. Stop kidding yourselves, Canada.
Oh dear. So that's the news. All right. Well, this is our last minute insert because the episode at 2.5 hours was not long enough. Connor remembered, but actually, we were ready to sit down and watch Arrow. I've got a mint in my mouth, which is super unprofessional. Connor's way more drunk than he was when we finished recording originally, but he remembered that he'd forgotten to put in his extra news story about your fantastic beasts and where to find them nonsense. So by all means, take it away.
Look, the annoying thing about this is I remembered before you did the trailers, which is where I was originally going to insert it, because I didn't want to ruin his segue. I thought, I'll let him have it. And then I forgot. As you do. But of course, the news story this week is they said that Dumbledore was going to be not explicitly gay, which of course he is, and he had a relationship with Grindelwald.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie will not address that for some reason. And I'm kind of annoyed by this because his relationship with Grindelwald is the one relationship where the books have said, no, he was gay. This is where, he kind of went through this and discovered that he was like this.
It's a shame because it feels like they just don't have the balls to have a gay character in a franchise that is also widely watched by children. It feels like that's the choice that's been made here, and it is bullshit.
It does.
I actually only saw this news because I saw the I don't know what I call it, outcry, but the reaction to this news on Twitter was fairly prominent, and I didn't know what they were talking about at first. And I had to sort of go digging.
You've not read the Harry Potter books.
No, but I had to go digging. No, I knew Dumbledore was gay. I remember when she said that after the books had come out. I remember that being a thing. Because I remember telling my friend, who's a huge Harry Potter fan, who didn't know that Dumbledore was gay, which, by the way, Dumbledore's gay, and she looked at me like, what? No, I'm serious. J.K. Rowling said it.
No, it's pretty heavily implied in the books. Like, it talks about their relationship and how they had this thing going on, and then he went evil, so Dumbledore went, yeah, okay, I don't like you very much anymore. Is essentially what happened.
Maybe so he doesn't like bad boys then, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, basically. Dumbledore's too much of a nice guy. And, it was implied in the books, but it was never outright said, and then after they all finished, J.K. Rowling came out and said that, and obviously she's been the screenwriter on these movies, so most of us were hoping that this would be addressed, because I get why it wasn't in the original movies, because they were kind of, by the time they were coming out, I don't think she'd even confirmed it at that point, by the time they'd written that.
Maybe by the time the last movie came out, but not...
By the time they came out, but by the time they were filming and it was written, I'm not sure that she had.
At the very least, at least 5 movies were out before this was confirmed.
Yeah,
maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So.
But it's kind of a big part of his character, at least now in a post the novels being finished world. This is kind of a big part of his character, at least of his formative years, which is what we're seeing in these movies. So I was hoping we would see this, but no, guess not, because reasons.
It's a shame because I feel like it's actually a chance for... Because I feel like most things that are aimed at kids would mostly avoid this, right? And I think it was a chance where you're big enough, you're Harry Potter, you're Fantastic Beasts, you're big enough that
you get away with whatever you want.
Yeah, you actually have the power and the privilege to get away with this and say, no, this is going to be a new normal, we can have this in a movie like this. And they chickened out and didn't do it.
You have influence.
That's a good word for it. You have influence, and it could have been this thing that younger people who are maybe starting to question their sexuality might see this, might take some inspiration, might think, oh, and instead, no, they're going to have to wait until they're older to see.
My one hope is that this is, because obviously we know there's 5 films. This is the second. I hope that maybe this happens over the franchise, that Dumbledore kind of gets this relationship with Grindelwald over the movies. I don't know if that's where they're going, because typically in the books, this relationship happened before Grindelwald went evil, which is where we are in the movies.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's already evil, if I recall the first film correctly.
Dumbledore went off him because he went evil, but...
Maybe he has a bad boy phase then.
No, that's it. Maybe they kind of switch it up a little bit and we go through that over the movies, and in that case, that's a bit better. But it's disappointing all the same.
She should say that then. J.K. Rowling should just say, hey, it's going to be explored in the 3rd or 4th movie. Just don't worry, it's coming.
This is down to J.K. Rowling, who's writing the movies, and David Yates, who is directing them all. This is down to them for just kind of saying, yeah, it's not explicitly gay, which is the phrase they're using.
Yeah, you can be gay, just don't talk about it.
Yeah, I don't like this. I really don't.
Which takes us on to what should be a quicker section this week, because we talk about what films we've watched this week that weren't for review purposes. I have not watched any that weren't for review purposes. I watched a lot for review purposes. I watched like 4 or 5 for reviews. I did not see any outside of those 4 or 5. So
I've been quite busy, thank you very much.
I have nothing to add to this. Connor, though, is going to bore the shit out of me with about 5 movies, though. So we're going to see what he watched this week outside of reviews. So...
yeah, okay.
Take it away.
So, first up, we got Colossal. This is the one where...
I see this.
All right, fine, I won't spoil it.
No spoilers. I mean,
no spoilers.
Generally speaking, we don't want to do spoilers at this section anyway, but especially no spoilers for this, because I want to watch this.
None of these will have spoilers, okay?
Alright.
But this one, Anne Hathaway controls a kaiju. The trailer will tell you it's very much, okay, she has a drinking problem, and it's a metaphor for that. And that is true for about half of the movie, and then it tries to go deeper. When it goes deeper, it kind of gets a little bit murky and into what its messaging is. It's still pretty good, but it loses itself a touch. It could have been great. Next up, I'm rapid firing these for you because I know you're looking at me going, this is going to be boring as shit.
Yeah, time. We're at 2 hours 20 here. We're past last week's run time.
All right. Next up, if you don't know, if you're in the Marvelous Facebook group, we did Sci-Fi Month last month. That's why these couple spilled into January. This is Sci-Fi Month, and I need to close out my monsters category that Peter demanded that we do for some reason. And
I didn't demand shit. I give you the option of...
You put it as an option, and I thought, well, I can fill that out. I've done 4 out of 5. So my 5th one, I did Tremors for the first time. It's pretty fun. I mean, you've either seen Tremors or you don't really care, but it's fun.
I thought you were going to say you've seen Tremors or you have not. I'm like, yeah, that about sums it up. You've either seen Tremors or you have not.
Look,
that's accurate for the entire planet.
Look, I know I've had a couple of drinks, but I'm not that bad. Yet. Arrow is still to come.
Okay.
All right. Okay. And then that was the end of my sci-fi month. I closed that out there.
Right.
And then we're into February, which is, of course, 2017 catch-up month. So I started this off with Mindhorn. This is a British comedy film starring and written by some of the people from The Mighty Boosh. If you're familiar with that, Howard Moon is the main character and co-writer. I'm actually not a fan of the Mighty Boosh. It's a bit too out there for my taste. It's a bit more reined in. It's surprisingly fun. Still kind of wacky, don't get me wrong, but it's a very fun British movie. It's got Steve Coogan in a supporting role. And it's essentially, this is a man who's an actor. In the 80s, he was on a TV show where he was a cop, but he had a cybernetic eye where he could tell if someone was lying or not. And this man is delusional and thinks Mindhorn, his character, was real. And so the police bring him in, and insanity ensues, essentially. But it's pretty fun.
That premise doesn't sound so bad. You kind of lost me at Mighty Bush people, but...
No, this is the thing. I'm not a fan of them either, but this is better than Mighty Bush. So I'd recommend giving it a shot. After that, I followed it up with Cars 3. This is essentially a sports movie, because it's just a racing movie. It's, underdog. I think it's fantastic in that it parallels really well with the first Cars movie, where the first Cars movie was him coming up as, okay, he's the young, new hotshot, and then this is him as the old one going out. So it does parallel really nicely. It's a lot of fun. It mostly ignores the second one for the better, because the second one is shite. There's like one major plot point that it does carry over, which is unfortunate that happened in that movie. But for all intents and purposes, it happened between 1 and 3. You don't need to watch 2.
I haven't seen any of them. I'm in no rush.
1's pretty good. 3 is the best by far, but it's only as good as it is if you've seen the first one. So I'd recommend watching that. And then finally, I watched Dunkirk. Because,
I've seen this one. This can be more of a conversation.
This can be more of a conversation. This is one I watched because, of course, it's an Oscar contender, and I'm making my way through them. I think it's a technical showcase that is very good at that. However, I was bored as shit through most of this movie.
I was not bored, but I will go on the record. I'll say it again. I said it during the review with Matt back in July, whenever it came out. This is easily my least favourite Nolan film.
Oh, by far, yeah.
By far, and I'm including Following in that, and I actually really like. I actually would put Following above another one or two of his movies.
I haven't seen The Following and The Prestige,
but I get technical masterpiece. I get why he liked making this. I get why he was enthusiastic about it. There's some beautiful shots spread out, but as the movie goes on, like, it never actually slows down to let me actually get to know anyone, and I just don't care about any people in the movie.
Because there aren't any characters. The only one I could name out of all the characters, there's a lot of characters in this movie. George, yeah, because he says George at the end of every sentence when he's talking to the kid. So it's the only one I can name. But I gave it a 6.5 out of 10 because I thought, just on a technical level, it's very good. I definitely think it deserves its nominations in the technical categories. I don't know if I think it should win, but it definitely deserves its nominations at the very least. Yeah, I question its nominations in the Best Picture categories. I really do. I don't see it.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I was disappointed in that. It's the first Nolan movie that I've seen in the theatre that I walked out going, I really don't ever want to watch that again.
And that's the thing, as you can tell when I'm watching this week. This I didn't see in the theatre, so I missed that. I think this would be better in the theatre with the big screen, the big sound. So I missed out on some of that experience. I think ultimately I give this like a 6.5, like I said, but I feel kind of empty after it. It's not. It's technically great, but ultimately not a very good movie at the same time.
It's like going to a mansion, having a butler come out with a nice fancy silver tray with the silver dish and pulling off the lid, and on the plate is just like a cheap sandwich.
Oh, no, I'd even say it's like hot dogs. It's like, I like hot dogs, but
what I'm saying is it's presented in the most posh way possible, in the best possible circumstance, with the best sauces next to it, but in the plate it's still just a hot dog.
It is, exactly. It's I like it at its core. I get what it's doing, but it's nothing special, is it? I don't really understand why it's getting the buzz that it is. I'll be honest.
I feel like people who really like history and like talking about World War II and know about all the event of Dunkirk, I feel like they were probably fapping to themselves throughout this film.
The irony is, I like history. I like reading about historical events. I'm not a big fan of war movies to begin with, so you know, I will admit that right up front. I'm not a huge fan of them, so this doesn't. It has to go above and beyond to win me over from that anyway. I don't think it's that good. I really don't, other than its technical qualities. And I will say, I think I mentioned this when I mentioned one of the Batman movies a couple of weeks ago. The jumping between aspect ratios when it's IMAX and when it's not was really jarring to me.
Oh, has the home release got jumping aspect ratios?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought the whole thing was filmed in IMAX.
Jumping aspect ratios.
I honestly thought the whole thing was filmed in IMAX. I know it had like 4 different ratios at the theater, not jumping between them, but depending on where you saw it and what format you saw it in, you had different ratios.
Nah, it switches, and sometimes it's 3 or 4 times in one scene when it's cutting between cutting between the aerial planes, and then okay, here are some characters talking. It's cutting between them. It's really jarring.
Actually, I will give it. I will actually accept it if like, do you know how it's like split into 3 stories where they're all kind of intercutting?
Yeah.
If each story's got its own ratio and they're consistent with it, I would.
Oh, actually, I don't know if it is like that.
And it's telling you which one you're in with, you know, at a glance, because you're in the whatever aspect ratio.
Do you know what? I'm not entirely certain, because I can think of times where it was like, okay, this was the planes, and then it's cut in between people on a boat talking, and it's cut in. Well, they're 2 different stories, of course. So I
do not call it switching in the theater, but
okay,
obviously
I've definitely done the home release.
Obviously, a few of Nolan's films have had this switch in aspect ratio though for the IMAX scenes, but I was under the impression that this was entirely shot like that. So
I think it's there are times where it's clearly in the IMAX camera and it's like on the wing of a plane, and I'm going, holy shit! They let him put an IMAX camera on the plane.
After he broke one in Dark Knight Rises.
Exactly. I'm like, this dude has got a reputation for destroying your very expensive cameras, and you're letting him put one on a Spitfire? What are you doing? So it's impressive in that sense. But yeah, ultimately I'm disappointed in it. It's fine, but I'll probably never watch it again.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm hoping he's back to something I care about with his next movie.
Me too. Get something original.
But anyway, that'll actually bring an end to this week's movie news. This has actually been the longest episode yet, despite my efforts to try and speed through a few news stories and actually cut out a few things.
I will not take the full blame for
that. That said, had we not went on that 10-minute tangent on Ant-Man, we would have been about just almost the same length as last week's, just a little bit over. So I'm blaming Connor for the extra 10 minutes. Of course, it means the audio version is going to be split in 2 again. Apologies, but it's just kind of the way it has to be. So
probably going to be that every week.
Judging the fact that it's happened 3 times in a row now, or 4 now with this one. Yeah, most likely. But that is. So let us know what you thought of the news this week. Let us know what you thought of the trailers. As always, the trailers are linked in the description. You can get links to all those down there. Like, subscribe, all usual stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz. If you want to support the channel and the show, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. There'll be a link in the description. There's a bunch of bonuses in there. You get some of the movie reviews early, the Influxes. You get to vote on episodes of Influx and Overload and streams every month. Those votes just went up actually today. Not Overload, because Matt's taking his time.
I'd ask if you want to tell them what those votes are, but I don't know if you can remember them all off the top of your head.
Oh, I can do it. The Influx vote is video game movies. Up for voting that is the original Tomb Raider, Super Mario Brothers, Mortal Kombat, and Doom. The Screams After Midnight vote are Japanese horror films for the month. That's the theme. The options are Audition, Dark Water, Pulse, and the apparently insane 70s film House. So those are the votes on that. So those are the options for the patrons to go and vote. And the $5 tier, you get to vote on the movies. And of course, you get to submit films to the Crypt and the
Overload
Vault.
will be up soon.
It'll be up within the next few days. Because Matt's taking his time picking his movie. To be fair, I've not picked mine yet, but that's because I can't make the images until Matt's picked his. So I just wait until he's picked his, and then I sit down and pick.
What you mean is you want to know what he picks before you retaliate.
Move and counter move.
Yes, exactly.
Action and
you
reaction.
want the upper hand.
Goddamn right. I get that ability. But anyway, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It was rambling through the movie news world. And yeah, keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time.